It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.
With especially aggravated kidnapping, you're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
You will bring
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Dati mihi Anglican for his service. I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Is that correct?
Oh, for crumb's sake.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Sorry, I'm just running a tiny bit late. Day late and $1 short. I have to tell you what happened yesterday because it's still continuing. I got my packages. I was supposed to come back after lunch and had to check everything to make sure everything arrived and it was working. It took much longer. It's basically like building 3 IKEA furniture items. Had to do that. And then my wife insisted on me cleaning up the front room, which was now full of boxes from furniture and various items, instruction manuals, cords, cables, styrofoam, plastic, everything. That took pretty much the rest of the day, and I'm still sort of cleaning up now. But it in all the confusion, Mrs. R.A. took pity on me, and she said, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And I'm like, yes, you properly assess the situation. She's like, I can make this a system for you. I can make it really simple. I'm like, I don't think you can. It's impossible. I just need to do this. I need to just run around like crazy and be like a wreck, and then it all works. That's how it happens. I'm talking about this big gig we've got going on this weekend, and she's like, nope, sit down. We're going to write it out. She's got like a flow chart. She's got a list of parts. She's got all sorts of stuff. I was still building that. We're not done. We're still building that for starting tomorrow because the gig starts tomorrow. So we're doing that. Anyway, good morning. Welcome. We're gonna catch up to court for here in just a minute. They started just a moment ago. But we'll be there here in just a little bit. We've got some important things to do first. First of all, we're going to give the internet away, so that's one less thing that I have to worry about. Congratulations, Regina Adams, first in chat. Being prompt and punctual earned you a punishment. Everything IP-related worldwide is your responsibility. So that's great for us. Not so good for you, but, we'll take a win when we can get it. So good riddance on that. Let's see. I had good reasons. I'm sorry. I thought somebody sent you a glitter bomb. That would have been less messy. Truly, it would have been less messy. We have a few birthdays to sing. Ivan. We're going to sing to Ivan, of course. Let's sing happy birthday to these wonderful folks who need to be celebrated so they can start their party everywhere, wherever you are. Everyone, wherever you are, if you're able and it's legal. Please stand up, take a deep breath, shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room, blend your voice with a neighbor, and warm up with me if you will. La 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 la. Sing happy birthday to... Is it Andrew? It's Andrew, Bevy, Ben, Brenda, DSN, Edelsong, Jackson, Jeff, and Mr. Wisconsin. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andrew C78, Bevy, Brenda, DSN, and Edelsong. Happy birthday to you. I guess we're going to add Pat to version number 2. We'll pick up with Jackson, Jeff, and Mr. Wisconsin. The one and only Ivan, who's probably sleeping right now, quite honestly. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Jackson, Jeff, Pat, Mr. Wisconsin, Ivan. Happy birthday to you. There we go. Okay. I said Andrew. I don't think it's Andrew. I think it's Andrew C. Bevy, Brenda, DSN, Edelsong, Jackson, Jeff, Pat, and Mr. Wisconsin. Happy birthday. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday. To everyone who's celebrating their birthday today. And an adult ballet twirl. Red pen. Wow. That got spicy fast. To everyone who's celebrating their birthday today, happy birthday. I realize that many wonderful days, but today is your special day. There are a million places you could have been, and a million people you could have celebrated with, but you chose to be here with us. The privilege, pleasure, the honor, the joy is ours. Hopefully you can turn that joy back to you, make your day just a little more special. Begin by helping yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP Village Inn, Waffle House, McDonald's, Tammy Dunlap's House, Andy's Grill, and Bob Evans. Whew. All right. Wow. Couple membership messages while the music continues. The pancakes are still being flipped. Dancers are doing their kicks. Tony Zamora, only place to be. Attorney level support, 15 months. Tony, thank you very much. Appreciate your support. It's wonderful. Can't think of a better name. RA. So to sum it up your afternoon, evening. Squirrel? Yes. That was exactly it. 13 months. Can't think of a better name. Thank you very much. I think we have we have a drum solo first. There we go. Happy birthday to all who are celebrating. Now we can start court, and I have to warn you. I thought I had some, but I don't. Break out your Perel. If you got some tissues, pass the box around. Maybe it might be time to mask up and, quite honestly, glove up. Because this court has turned into a super spreader event, and they're all getting sick. If this court continues without a sick day, I will be surprised, because the judge, for starters, is feeling a little under the weather. But in the spirit of share with friends everything you have, he has come to work, ready for sidebars. And basically everyone's going to die from COVID. No, I didn't say that. Everyone's getting sick. Because it's going around, and the judge is up on his high platform and is spreading it around. This is basically how it ends. This is the beginning of the end. If you guys have seen some of the movies, it's like, the end of the world type of thing, zombie apocalypse. This is episode 1. We didn't think it would start in court, but here it is. So let's give it a listen.
Everyone's feeling all right.
No, we're not, Judge.
I hope they are. I have a mask here, and all our sidebars today, I will be wearing this because I don't want to expose you. I feel well enough to proceed today, but maybe a little bit of a challenge. So I do apologize for that, but we'll rectify that today at any sidebars. First, let me ask if there's matters that council need to discuss with me. There's a couple things that I want to discuss, but first I'll ask whether there's anything on your agendas.
A couple of things that just come up, Judge. Two of the witnesses who are going to testify today, 2 state troopers, we're taking them a little bit out of order because they have conflict. One of them has a conflict with the trial that's going on in Lawrence next week. And he's the lead investigator on that case, so we're going to put him on today. He did the search. He was part of the search team at the defendant's home. I don't think there's any objection, and actually I don't know if there's any objections to be made for his testimony. It's just coming in a little bit earlier than it normally would. Also, one of the individuals who did the phone download of the defendant's phone is going to testify very briefly today about the fact that he did the download and just a little bit about what he discovered. Most of that's coming in through the lead investigator. Obviously, the phone hasn't come up in testimony yet, so to the extent that there's any sort of, some of the stuff from the phone's already come in, so I don't think there's going to be an objection to, not having laid the proper foundation because no one has testified about taking the phone from the defendant yet. I don't think there's an objection to that, but he's another one that we have to get in because of conflicts. So just putting that on the record, I think we're okay there.
Any issues from defense counsel's perspective with that? I don't have any issues, but if you have any, let me know. All right, that's fine.
The other issue that Mr. Scully and Ms. Strazik mostly have been talking about this morning is the defense has let us know that they plan on putting in all of the text messages between Ms. Church and the victim between November 1st and his death. It would be the Commonwealth's contention that those are generally hearsay and not admissible. But there are a number. I mean, we're talking a sizable number of text messages there. I expect that those would have to come in through Trooper Williams, who's going to testify on Tuesday. So that'd be an issue that's got to be dealt with. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I think it might save us a lot of time if we deal with it before then.
Well, that's one of my issues. So I very much want to deal with that in advance. Is that correct, Mr. Scully? You believe that you would attempt to admit those texts through that particular trooper on Tuesday?
Yes. And just for a little credit, we have been going back and forth with hundreds of emails and redacting old stuff and getting on the same page everywhere we can. This will be one of the differences, and I thought it might come up today depending on how deep Commonwealth was going to go with this witness who did the download. Was he also going to be deep into other text messages, images, and so forth? He's not going deep. He's just going to this one area, I think, of these videos that Judy Church had taken of Mr. Fowler that we heard about when he was
I
at her
warned
house
you.
around the time of the 911 call.
I warned you.
So a long way of saying, as a result of that, I've decided not to, try to bring in these things through this trooper who may never have seen them, save them for Mr. Williams. And as a preview, I think that the primary reason that the defense will submit them and submit that we should be able to question the trooper about them, and then also introduce them as exhibits is this is part of the Bowden defense. Maybe the real core of the Bowden defense is that
defense.
The
third-party
you've
culprit.
heard this in opening and suggested through some other witnesses and at sidebar, is essentially that the police took some preliminary statements, primarily all on one day in one place with the family members of Leroy Fowler,
or the bad investigation,
and
Bowden, right?
Focused their investigation exclusively on Judy in sort of warp time, and seized her cell phone. She wasn't arrested when she seized her cell phone. She had come in and given a voluntary recorded statement. They took her phone on that day, so they had it to search. And later, when they went to the grand jury to present this case, what was revealed on the phone that we think is very relevant is that from November 1st until the phone is taken from her in her interview, which I think was November 14th, there are text messages throughout that show a very loving and positive relationship in November, which cuts against the grain of the Commonwealth's motive that she would want to kill him. There's the conversations about going to Florida, moving, packing, and then on the night of November 11th, they text each other all night. The texts are very kind of sexually graphic.
Goody.
But the gist of it is Leroy's in the back room sending sexual messages to Judy, who is responding kind of all night long about how those are good messages and good ideas that he's having.
Well, I think I've got the gist. I'll want copies of the text so I can review them over the weekend.
I think that makes sense.
It's just some light reading.
The gist of why you say they're admissible in pursuit of a Bowden defense. I'll hear from the Commonwealth, who's objecting to the admission of most or all of the texts. But I will have reviewed them and had a sense of them, so we can have an informed conversation outside the presence of the jury about these and take our time. And
Okay, hang on. Sorry. I just skipped ahead.
The presence of the jury.
And there's just one more thing that I think will help the court is that we also view this as kind of very much tied into the particular presentation at the grand jury in this case, which was just the one witness, Trooper Williams. He testified substantively for about 23 pages worth of a transcript, which is in the court file under the motion to dismiss. And we can provide another copy along with these text messages to help with the Bowden analysis. None of the phone information that we say now was exculpatory and contrary to the gist of the grand jury evidence presentation was submitted. However, they did present basically the evidence that they're presenting at trial. Sorry, I don't have a cold. I just have something in my throat.
Yeah, whatever. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But they did.
He's the next one. He just caught it.
They did,
and now he's spreading it.
Present like the statements that they've attributed, via Tammy Carbone, via Leroy, the ones they're going to bring in via Michael Hawkins, the other evidence that they're bringing in was really summarized by Trooper Williams sort of succinctly throughout the grand jury. And in our opinion, what was left out was, all of this other evidence that they had.
The other stuff.
And they didn't submit in any form,
So
including
Bowden-
there were no exhibits presented.
Bowden
at the grand
defense,
jury.
ineffective
We'll have that
investigation.
discussion. I will tell you, just so you know, my preliminary view on that is that we are not going to be litigating an Odell motion in front of this jury. And what you're talking about in terms of the grand jury presentation sounds exactly like an Odell motion. So normally, the fact of the indictment is neither here nor there. As I've told the jury over and over again, it's merely a formal accusation. It has no evidentiary weight. So I am skeptical about the propriety of introducing evidence regarding what was presented to the grand jury to secure the indictment. But we'll have that discussion.
And it's not Odell, and we're not raising this in an Odell perspective or the legal framework or arguing it. It's the way we're presenting it or trying to present it now to this jury is evidence of bias, that the police were sort of had a one-track mind at that point, didn't have an open mind, may not have even done the work and looked at our text messages. I don't think that they had.
The fact that the Commonwealth proceeded to a grand jury to secure an indictment against Ms. Church for first-degree murder shows that she was the person they'd focused on. Again, I'm skeptical that what they put in and didn't put into the grand jury is appropriate subject for evidence before this jury, but we'll have that discussion then. I at least understand it. I'll take a look at the text, and then we'll have that conversation.
Excellent. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Strasnick, anything else from the defense perspective? Is that all you wanted to tell me, Mr. Scully?
I think that's all, yes. We would need I think the clerk has certified copies of medical records that might come in today.
Mr. Scully, they are right up here on the table. I notified counsel.
Okay.
Yes,
That's all.
Mr. Narkunis?
Judge, the only other thing, and we had subpoenaed in under 279 the medical records from his personal doctor, Mr. Fowler. And I think they would just come in through that alone. But I believe that the son would talk about he may have taken him on occasion to his doctor. And then I'm not going to cross-examine him on them, but I just thought get them into the record, I would introduce them. I don't have to today, but I could do it.
Normally, if the records have been certified and come in, they can be marked as an exhibit, again, subject to redaction, because I think there's always things in medical records that need to be taken out.
You need to do that through him.
Any issue with that, Mr. Camilio or Ms. Strasnick?
I mean, that doesn't matter when they get marked.
Yeah. Ms. Strasnick, you had something?
Just a couple things. When we were here on Wednesday, there was Exhibit 5 was entered by defense counsel, but only a portion of one of the text messages was
Two words on the text that followed what the Commonwealth's exhibit texts.
What I did was I redacted that. I was able to make it on one text. I don't believe there's an objection to replacing this redaction.
So single exhibit that now contains that response by Ms. Carbone to the last text that was in the Commonwealth's original exhibit.
Correct.
So we substitute this version for that one that was marked. That's acceptable to me.
And that's by agreement. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That was Exhibit 5. Can you do one more exhibit? Can you do a sticker for 5, please?
And then I don't know if this should be marked for ID.
Why don't we do that?
The clerk's getting sick next. Yeah, she's
okay.
She's up next.
So the former number 5 will be marked as F for identification.
That was a cutoff. We're watching germs spread live. It's almost like you can see them on the screen.
That is. Did you mark that?
It's being passed around by exhibits.
And Mr. Narkunis, you have the medical records in your hand? We can have those marked as well.
I've capped to the top end so it won't go too loud, but he's just right on top of his mic.
Subject to redaction.
Our next exhibit is 8.
That's medical records.
So marked.
Ms. Strasnick.
Thank you. Today we're going to be playing the first interview in time of the defendant. We've agreed upon the redactions. I'm just seeking to introduce the unredacted interview 1 as well as interview 2 unredacted as identification, just so the record's complete, and then we'll do interview 2 next week, the redacted version, once we agree upon that.
All right, so for identification, the unredacted 2 recorded interviews of Ms. Church.
Oh, there's another one. So, Red, I'm thinking I'm sorry, I did just barely update the thumbnail.
Is that
I forgot
marked for ID?
I downloaded it but didn't update it this morning. I've got the voodoo doll added to the thumbnail because that came in yesterday or 2 days ago. We need a petri dish now,
During the motion in the
like full-on germs petri dish,
and Tammy, Your Honor, had
like
gone
something
through the
moldy in
16
there.
pages and indicated which ones would be Barb, with Barb and Leroy, which ones would be admissible for his present condition, and which ones you believe would be relative to the prostate cancer. I have taken the 16 pages and made them into, I believe, 4 with the redactions. I left the text message with Barb, but took out the content just so you could see that there was a conversation, but not the hearsay statements, and I don't believe that there's an objection. They don't need to be marked, but I don't know if the court wanted to review them. They'll be marked next week, just to make sure they're consistent with your order.
I would appreciate that. So if I understand you, the responses, which I didn't view a single response as shedding any real light on the true declarant's statements, but you just leave that so they know that there is some response in between that, which makes sense. That's a good way to do it.
It just seemed a little weird to just have the responses, and then what I did was I put the 2 relative to the prostate cancer on separate ones, just because I know the court was still considering it.
All right.
But they didn't provide it to the defense.
Okay, so I will take a look at those. We'll finalize that, but I appreciate those efforts.
Right. We appreciate those efforts as well, and they look to be accurate. I did have a chance to review them, and for the most part, we would just have already made our objections and note them for the record.
I will, because, yes, I made some rulings, and you objected to some or would object to some, so that's fine. Your rights are preserved.
Thank you.
Yes, why don't we? Thank you.
You're welcome. These will be marked as H for identification.
If that concludes what counsel needed to discuss, I just want to see counsel at sidebar very briefly to discuss my matter, and then we'll proceed.
Okay. He's going to mask up. We're going to give him a minute to discuss that sidebar. And once they're done, we're going to kick off with the first witness here. Just 1 second. Okay. Just in time for a cough. Perfect timing. All right.
Be seated.
We're seated.
Good morning. Good morning, jurors.
Looks like there's a light out. There should be a...
We're sorry to have kept you waiting. Counsel and I were dealing with some legal issues in an effort to try to streamline things a little bit and to avoid too many protracted sidebars during the course of the day. So sometimes it may be frustrating for you to be waiting for us to get going, but generally those delays mean that counsel and I are working hard to try to make things more efficient, and in the end, they generally are more efficient. As
Betty coughs on the jury.
I'm going to pose to you those 2 questions I told you I would ask every morning when we first convened. Since we last saw each other, has any member of the jury discussed the substance of this case with anyone, including among yourselves? No. Since we last saw each other, has any member of the jury seen, read, heard, or overheard anything from any outside source about any aspect of this case? No. I should have mentioned this on Wednesday, but obviously we've had a camera in the courtroom filming these proceedings, and although I don't check myself, I understand that there is some ongoing daily press coverage of this particular trial. You must scrupulously avoid any exposure to any such information. So if, for example, you are a nightly news watcher, I suggest that you either desist watching the news during the local news, that is, during the duration of this case, or you make sure that if you hear anything starting to be a segue into any press coverage of this trial, you shut off the TV or go in another room. You must not be exposed to any such information. For the reason that I've told you over and over again, it's fundamentally important to the integrity of this process that our jurors decide this case based solely on the evidence that's presented during the course of the trial in light of my instructions of law, and not on any outside information, any expressions of opinion, or anything else you might hear from any person or through any press coverage. And I'm confident that each and every one of you will, in fact, follow those very important instructions. So we are continuing with the presentation of the Commonwealth's case. To my recollection, the witness, Leroy Fowler III, was on the witness stand in the midst of direct examination, I believe. Oh, cross. Cross. We were at cross with Mr. Narkunis. So we will have that witness recalled to the stand.
All right. Thank you, Judge. This whole thing. Yeah. My clicker finger's just we're gonna be like over 300 today, I think. The health department needs to come in and just shut this down, I think.
Mr. Fowler, I'll remind you that you remain under oath.
Yeah.
Be seated.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Mr. Narkunis, you may proceed.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Fowler.
Morning.
My name's Stan Norkunis, and along with Sam Morrissey and Liam Scully, we represent Judy Church in these matters. And I'd like to ask you a few questions here about your relationship with your father.
Sure.
And you had indicated you believed when Mr. Camilio asked you about that it was reasonably good, correct?
Yeah.
But there were times when, as in any relationship, that it wouldn't have been as good, correct?
Sure.
And there were a couple times, or at least one particular time in 2020, when the two of you weren't talking, right?
Yes.
And nor were you seeing each other, correct?
Yes.
And how long did that extend for?
Maybe a year or two.
Okay. And that was at your instigation, correct? You had indicated to your father you didn't want to have any contact with him for a period of time, correct?
It's kind of both, I would say, not just one-sided.
Okay. Now,
I'm counting that was a cough. That
relationship with your father, at some point in time, you and he moved in with Julie Haskins, correct?
Who?
Julia Hawkins, Julia Hawkins, correct?
We moved in with her?
Yes.
Yeah, when I was a child.
And how old were you?
It was maybe. Well, I seen him often. It was weird. So I lived with my aunt when my mother passed away, and then I see my father on the weekends until I was probably around 10, maybe 12.
But you considered, I believe you said, as to Julia Hawkins, you considered her to be your stepmother, correct?
Yes, sir. My mother died when I was a child.
Okay. And therefore you had great affection for her, correct?
Of course.
And in the context of living there, your father lived there with you and her and Michael Hawkins for a period of time?
It was mainly me and her and my father. Michael was an adult at the time. So, I mean, he periodically stayed.
And at some point in time then, while you were still living there, your father then left that relationship to begin a relationship with Judy Church, correct?
I wouldn't say he left. It was...
He just started another one.
Both, I would say. He was with both of them.
Yep.
So he was continuing to have time with Ms. Hawkins and then also having a relationship, to your knowledge, with Judy Church at that time?
Yeah, he was with Julie all the way till she passed away.
Okay. Well, during that period of time, all the way till she passed away, he was also seeing Judy Church, to your knowledge, correct?
At times, yeah.
Okay. And where there would be times when he would be gone for 2 or 3 days, and you believed he was with Miss Church during that period of time?
It was hard to say who I believed he was with. My father was with whoever he at the time.
Okay.
It's hard to say, like, what woman, as much as embarrassing it is, but...
Now, following when Ms. Hawkins passed away, you then and your father went to live with Ms. Church? At some point in time, you moved in with Ms. Church, correct?
I lived above with my, at the time, my son's mother.
Okay. But that was in a home that Ms. Church owned, right? When I say you lived with her.
It was in an apartment. It wasn't in the same actual apartment at the time, no, but it was in the same, I guess, building.
Well, you had told us that you did live for 1 year in the same unit?
Yeah, that was later on when me and my son's mother split up.
Okay. So when you moved over to with Miss Church, you were living in your separate apartment and you had a companion with you?
Yeah.
Okay. At any point in time, did you feel hostility towards Miss Church because of what your father had done with her while Miss Hawkins was ill?
No.
Now, and you think the relationship with your father in 2020 could have lasted for 2 years, that when you no longer were having contact?
It's hard to say. It was before I got married, but yeah, I would say around 2.
Well, did you actually take out any type of paperwork to tell him he couldn't come near you?
Yes.
Okay. Would that have been a restraining order?
Yes.
And that lasted for approximately some extended period of time, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you were there at that house and your father was living with Miss Church at that point in time, during some period that you were there as well, correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you a couple of photographs and ask you if you can identify the people in those as being the people that you were with. Give them to you one at a time.
Sure.
First photograph. Be
Yep.
able to identify who's depicted in that picture.
Yep.
Who would that be?
Judy and my father.
Okay. Would you be able to approximate a time that might be? If you can.
He had his white goatee. I know it's a new report, so I would say maybe around 2022, 23. Okay. In 20, yeah, maybe 21, 22.
Okay. If I could be marked, Judge.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
It may be admitted.
Exhibit 9, so not.
Judge, when they're all three are done, I'd like to be able to display them to the jury on the. Can I show you in a second?
You may do so.
You have to identify the people that are depicted in that photograph.
I can't see the guy in the back, but it's my father and Judy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know who like those other people are.
Approximately the same time frame, perhaps.
No, this was before. This was when they first kind of started dating, because it was my father's old motorcycle.
Okay.
So this is when he was with Julie.
I'd move that into evidence, Judge.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Exhibit 10, so not.
And finally, this photograph.
Yep, that's Judy and my father. I want to say this one's more recent. I think this is when they were in Florida.
Would that have been 2022?
Yeah, I don't want to say specifically because I don't know the exact date, but maybe 21, 22, yeah. Because I know they visited a few times.
I'd move that photograph, Judge, into evidence.
No objection. Exhibit 11.
All right, we're getting the
I could display those to the,
extended dating photos in.
Elmo, Judge.
Yes, you may.
Assuming I can. How do you get that too?
Well, there's a big one on the wall we can look at without spying on
The younger generation goes to work. Thank you, Miss Morrissey.
That's good.
That's
This is which exhibit was just up there? Just tell us which exhibit's on the screen
That's,
at any time.
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay.
And number 10.
Yeah, I like the
And
motorcycle.
finally, number 11, Judge.
Let freedom rock.
Thank you. Now, You had indicated that I think you're working construction, correct? Some sort of construction aspect?
At what time?
In 2022.
No, I was working for the same company I work for now.
Which I thought that was, it dealt with construction and you were management.
It wasn't.
What is it exactly?
So basically, I go around properties that my company owns that other people can't figure something out or need help. I'll go there to problem solve. Sometimes it could be construction, plumbing, but not really a construction company.
All right, but facility management could be a better term for it.
Sure.
Okay. And I think you had told us back on Wednesday, November 10th, you had your father, you had been in contact with your father about collecting some money for one of the projects you had him work on?
Yeah, I had to pay him for it.
Okay. And that would have been the same thing, some sort of facility management project?
No, that was separate. That was on the side, and nothing to do with my company that I work for.
But you did indicate that your father was doing some jobs for your company, right? You did. Occasionally, you'd be able to give him a day's job?
I would give him a day's job that was separate from my company, but never with the company that I work for, no.
Oh, all right. Okay. And those would be the same thing, some sort of, if I say construction, might be rebuilding something, reconstructing something, not a huge project, right?
Yeah, my father was mainly good at construction, like framing, et cetera, stuff like that, windows, siding.
Okay. Labor intensive?
Sure.
Okay.
At points.
In September, October, November of 2022, you were giving him work such as that?
One job, yes.
Okay. More than one job?
Nope, just that one.
All right. That you were collecting the money for?
Yep.
And to your knowledge, was he otherwise doing any type of work?
I'm not sure. I didn't really ask. I mean, I knew he always had little things going on, but he didn't have any jobs that I knew about.
Okay, but he was still physically active during that period of time.
To an extent.
Yeah. All right. And he was also, were you familiar with the fact that he was also redoing bicycles?
Yeah, he told me about that.
Okay. Was he himself riding bikes?
Never that I've seen.
How often would you be in contact with your father on a weekly basis?
Prior to the disagreement we had,
Yeah. Well, from, say, in 2021, 2022.
I would say at least once a week, sometimes more through text. I didn't always see him every week, but I mean, we communicated through text or, other things. He would show me what he found at yard sales and stuff.
So once a week, you might have seen him. You might have had a text message with him, right?
Yeah, once a week, because he would stop by and, see my son as well at times.
Okay. Now, and during this period of time, you also maintained a friendly relationship with Barbara Randall, correct?
Sure, yeah.
And that was the other lady that your father at that point in time was seeing along with Judy Church, right?
One of them, yes. Yeah.
Okay. When you say one of them?
Well, yeah, one of Judy or Barbara.
Okay. But you were having a relationship with both?
Yeah.
What's the period of time that you were actually living at 108 Central Street? Do you remember the years?
I don't want to say I don't know the specific year.
But would that have been prior to 2019?
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Okay. Would it have been back as early as 2017?
It could have been, yeah.
Okay. And you stayed there for, was it 1 year upstairs and 1 year downstairs?
Yeah, upstairs, but then intermittently downstairs. I would go to friends' houses or etc.
When you was downstairs?
Yes.
Okay. And it's during that time frame then, maybe back to 2017, that you saw the photograph, what's displayed in the photograph of the voodoo doll?
Can you rephrase it again?
Mr. Camilio had showed you a picture. Let me show you that to you.
Oh, yes. We have the voodoo doll from yesterday.
It's been marked as exhibit number 7.
Yep.
Just ask you to look at that for a moment yourself. You had said you would indicate that you were able to identify that, and that was something that you saw in the home at 108 Central Street, right?
Yeah, one of them.
Okay. Back in, and that would have been in the 2017 timeframe when you were there?
I don't remember specifically, but there was.
You weren't there in 2020, right?
Well, as long as I wasn't there in 2020, but I still see my father on occasions after, yes.
Well, but you had the restraining order in 2020.
There's a cough there.
Yes.
There's
So you
another.
wouldn't have been seeing your father at that location in 2020, right?
I sometimes did, yeah.
You saw him even though you had a restraining order?
2021, this restraining order was still in effect, right?
Yep.
So that's prior to 2020, you would have seen that item.
Prior to 2020, I mean, she had multiple. This wasn't the only one.
She had like a whole voodoo doll collection? What do you call it? Is it a posse of voodoo dolls?
So you're asking me like there was multiple different dolls. Wasn't just that one.
I want you to, did you ever take your father for any of his medical appointments?
Sometimes I drove him, yeah.
Okay. And would you go in and listen to what any of the conversations with the doctor?
In the beginning I did when he first he had a bicuspid valve in the beginning.
Well, he had a pacemaker, and right?
Due to the bicuspid valve, yes.
Yeah, okay. Now,
I think we're still on direct.
Going into November of 2022, at some point in time on November 12th, you received a text message from Judy Church, correct?
Yep.
And in response to that, you were somewhat upset that you had gotten a message which you thought was late, correct?
Sure, yeah.
And your initial reaction to that, as you had stated when you were interviewed by the police, was you thought your father was in the hospital perhaps for a drug overdose, right?
I mean, yeah.
And and therefore you weren't overly concerned because you thought perhaps that at that point in time he would be getting released from the hospital pretty shortly, right?
I thought he would.
Your father, if it was a drug overdose, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and in fact, one of the concerns you had was when your father became mad, you have seen him on occasion use excessive amounts of drugs, right?
I would know he's not excessive, but I mean, yeah, he would do drugs.
Well, at one point in time, you were interviewed by the police, and they recorded that interview, correct?
Yeah.
And did you have a chance to look at that before coming into court here today?
What, the transcripts?
Yes.
I've seen them.
Okay. And if I suggested to you that you had said he's been mad enough where I've seen him use excessive amounts of drugs.
Yeah.
So when you first heard about that he was in the hospital, that was your issue. You thought it was that type of consideration, right?
Yeah, it would have made more sense.
And then the aspect, your father unfortunately deteriorated, his health diminished, right?
Yep.
And then following, as that was taking place, you were contacted by someone to come talk to the police, right? Sometime in November 12th, you were asked to go somewhere and meet with some police officers, right?
Yes, after I called them.
Okay. And where did you go?
To my Uncle Billy's house.
That would be William Eaton,
yep.
Correct? Okay. Now, and present when you got there was who else? Was Tammy there?
Yep.
And Mr. Eaton was there?
Yep.
You and who else?
We were there. It was my uncle Billy and his wife Jessica.
Okay. But in terms of who the police talked to at the house, they talked to 3 of you, correct?
Yes.
And they told you they were going to record your statements, correct?
Yep.
And at that point in time, they told you we're going to answer questions and feel free to, whatever your answers we want or whatever else you want to talk to us about, go ahead and say it, right?
Yeah.
And you were with them for approximately 45 minutes, right?
It sounds about right, yeah.
And prior to coming in there, had there been a discussion through Tammy Carbone about Judy making statements relative to milkshakes?
Bringing all the boys to the yard?
Not discussion. I mean, it was brought up, yeah.
So you knew prior to coming in there that Tammy had said she had had conversations with Judy or swapped emails, and they talked about her making coffee milkshakes for your father, and the family joke was she was poisoning him by giving him protein, right?
Poison him by giving him protein?
Giving him a milkshake.
It wasn't a family joke, but it was said.
Well, that had been said for how many years?
I don't know how many years, maybe a year or 2 leading up to it. I wouldn't say years.
Well, didn't your father like his coffee milkshakes?
My father liked anything that was sweet.
Well, the specific question was he really liked his coffee milkshakes, right?
Sure.
And he told you that, right?
Yeah.
And the coffee milkshakes were something that Judy gave to him, correct?
She would, yeah.
Well, and she had been doing that for years, right?
Sure, yeah.
And because it was a coffee milkshake and not one of his other drinks, they referred to it as that she was giving him some sort of poison because it was a coffee milkshake, right?
I don't understand the question.
Well, sorry. His other favorite drinks were fruit punch Powerade, right?
Yeah.
Which is bright red, right?
Yep.
And you've seen him drink that, correct?
I've seen him drink many Powerades. He worked outside.
And the other was Fanta soda, correct?
Fanta soda or root beer. Anything.
Well, Fanta soda is what
like
color is
Pepsi.
Fanta soda?
Fanta soda?
Fanta, F-A-N-T-A.
Talking about the orange kind? It would be orange.
It's orange, right?
Yes.
And even the can is bright orange, right?
In a bottle, yeah.
Okay. And those were his 3 favorite drinks. The red Powerade, fruit punch Powerade, orange Fanta, and the coffee milkshake, right?
Favorite drink was milk or like chocolate milk, yeah. But they were one of them. I mean, he had many favorite drinks.
Well, but one of the those were the 3 principal ones for him, correct?
Sure.
And not just a milkshake, but it had to be a coffee milkshake, correct?
Didn't have to be, no.
Well, wasn't the joke that he was getting coffee milkshakes, correct?
Coffee or chocolate, yeah.
And so all of you were together in the room at that point in time at Mr. Eaton's house, and you were all expressing your views about, right? Let me finish the question for you. You're all expressing your views about conversations Judy would have with other family members about the coffee milkshakes she made for your father, right?
No, we weren't all together in the room at the same time having that conversation.
You were all at the house, right?
So my house was adjacent to Billy's, and I wasn't in there until I was speaking, and they took us all in one at a time. So we didn't all like sit in the living room and talk, no.
But you knew the purpose of being there. You were all together, and you all had conversations before you talked to the police and after you talked to the police, right?
Sure.
It's your aunt, it's your uncle, and it's you, and there's a great worry about your father, and all of you are having conversation, right?
Yeah, but it happened fairly quickly to have like sit down. I didn't speak to them a lot prior. I just showed up to talk to the police after I called them.
Well, but you also had your aunt there and you had your uncle there, right?
Sure.
And they were very worried about your father, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you're worried about your father, right?
Yeah.
And your family, so you have conversations, right? About that situation.
I mean, not after I talked to my aunt, yeah, after the police. We were kind of trying to figure out what was going on, yeah, of course.
But you had talked to both of them before you got there about your father as well, right?
Sure, not in great detail.
Particularly
But yeah.
Tammy, right?
I talked to Tammy, yeah, of course.
When in terms of conversations, a lot of it might have been text messaging, which is still communication, right?
Yeah, I talked to Tammy through text.
And in the context of that was the issue that arose about, what about these statements that the coffee milkshakes were poison for him, right?
Yeah, it was brought up.
Well, it was brought up by you, it was brought up by Tammy, and it was,
yeah,
right? And then the police suddenly decided to focus on that, right? It occurred in terms of conversations with you. When had you heard that statement? When had you not heard that statement, right?
Yeah.
And again, you ensured that you told them that was one of your father's favorite drinks for his, right?
One of his favorite.
And had been so for years, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you were there, again, there were no restraints on you in terms of what you could say in response to a question, right?
No.
They weren't trying to limit you down to what you could say.
No.
They were asking you if you had any other information that could help them in trying to determine, you know, if you had any information of how your father could have consumed ethylene glycol, right?
Yep.
And was there a discussion then that ethylene glycol had a particular taste? Did they tell you it was a sweet tasting substance?
Well, I don't know if they told me,
ethylene glycol?
but I knew about it. I was a mechanic for years, so.
So you knew it was a sweet tasting substance, right?
Sure.
And you knew your father had a particular taste for sweet tasting items, right?
Yeah.
And following that interview with the police at that point in time, did you ever go back and give them any other information that would relate to your father's consumption of sweet products, you know, his appetite for products that were sweet?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Okay. So that statement was on November 12th of 2022. And then in March of 2026, you went in for an additional interview with the government, right?
With the...
Last week, the government talked to you. The prosecutors talked to you, right? Brought you in and talked to you, right?
No, I talked to them on the phone.
Okay. And that would have been on Tuesday, March 17th?
Yeah.
And they told you what to expect, right?
Sure.
And they also told you for the first time at that point in time, in March 17th, 2026, that there's going to be a discussion about a bitter tasting compound that may have been found in the Powerade bottle, right?
I don't think they told me about they found a bitter agent, but I mean, it was brought up, yeah.
All right. Well, it was brought up, okay?
They didn't
That's
say it
gonna
was...
happen.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, then, on March 17th, 2026, upon hearing that, you told them that you currently then, in March 17th, 2026, had remembered a couple of times your father complained about a loss of taste, right?
Sure. Yep.
And you had no time frame, right?
What do you mean I had no time frame?
Well, you didn't tell them, I heard this back in 2017 from him, or I didn't hear it until...
Well, it would have been during COVID, which was 2020, somewhere around there.
Well, it would have been difficult for you to hear it then because you had a restraining order against your father.
To my
and you're
father.
staying away from each other, right?
Still spoke to him, yes.
Well...
He's my father.
And so you believe it could have taken place in 2020 during the period in which you had the restraining order against your father, right?
Say it again?
The only time you have a memory of when that would have taken place would have been sometime in 2020.
And not the only memory, no.
Well,
Like
that's the only time you've mentioned, right?
I spoke to my father countless times.
Okay. And so what may have occurred in 2020, and your statement was, to the best of your memory, complained that he had a loss of taste. He was still drinking coffee milkshakes, right, in 2022, right?
Still drinking
Distinctive
anything, yeah.
taste to a coffee milkshake, right?
Sure.
And it had to be coffee milkshake for your father, right?
Have to be coffee, no.
Well, he was being given coffee milkshakes, right?
Sure.
Fanta has a particular type of taste, right?
It can, yeah.
And Powerade, fruit punch, has a distinct taste. That's why it's called fruit punch, right?
Sure.
And those were drinks your father was consuming and enjoying the taste of them, right?
I don't know if
You
he
would
was
see him
enjoying the
consume
taste.
those, right?
At times, yeah. I mean, he had to drink stuff.
And
The attorney's trying to push
if I may
him
have
into
a moment,
corner.
Judge.
Yes, you may.
He had to drink stuff. He was enjoying the taste, right? Has a distinctive taste. We have testimony that he lost his taste after a bout with COVID. And he was just drinking his favorite stuff. The defense attorney was trying to prove that he could taste, and if he could taste, he would have tasted the bittering agent. Thus, either he drank it himself or...
And the reason that you got the restraining order was you were concerned about any type of physical assault of you by your father, right?
Sure.
So are you saying that Judy poisoned him in self-defense? That's a tough one.
And again, back on February 12, 2022, when you were seated with the police at Mr. Eaton's house and you were free to communicate to the police, and they were telling you what their concerns were about how he could have had ethylene glycol, you never mentioned to them anything about your father ever having said he had a loss of taste.
I've brought it up.
In 2020, do you want me to show you the transcript and you can show me where that is?
Oh, exactly when I brought it up, but yeah, I've said it.
And if I told you it's not in your transcript, you can point it out to me where it is in your transcript.
If it's not in there, it's not in there.
It's not in there, correct.
Okay.
And that was a recording of the statements you made to the police, correct?
Sure.
Okay. And that statement is not in there, correct?
Sure.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Judge.
Mr. Camellia.
Just a couple of things, sir.
Yeah.
You said that you didn't have any ill will towards Judy before this incident. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your feelings about your dad, dating Judy or being in a relationship with her?
In the beginning, I thought she was a good choice.
Why was she a good choice?
She was nice. She had a good job, had a house. She was pleasant.
All right. Did Barbara Randall have sort of some of those things going for her that Judy, you just mentioned about Judy?
No.
Okay. And did you ever talk to your dad about, his relationship with the two of them and sort of choosing one or the other?
Sure.
Okay. And who did who did you push for?
Told him that Judy was the better choice.
Why?
Because she seemed better off in life. Like
She had
More money?
money, house. I mean, they seemed happy.
And after after your dad became sick, after you learned that he had this antifreeze in his body, how did you sort of feel about having told your dad that Judy was the better choice?
It's something that I feel terrible about now.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Norkunis. Anything further on that?
I spy a bottle of Perel.
I've done
Spy
nothing,
two.
Judge. No,
Thank you very much. Mr. Fowler, you may step down.
Thank you, sir.
I'm waiting for some janitor to come through here and throw away that Gatorade bottle that's sitting there, the Powerade bottle, which is actually an exhibit
Thomas Sullivan?
in this trial. Man, they're slow down the coughs. See Poland Spring making a showing. Good grief! Here's our defendant. Heard this morning that we might get a whole bunch of spicy texts from her and the decedent.
We're
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning.
That's funny. Did they
Good
bring-
morning, sir. In a nice loud voice, can you introduce yourself to the jurors and spell your last name?
Thomas Sullivan, Sullivan.
And sir, where do you work?
I'm a sergeant with the state police.
And what is your current assignment, sir?
I'm assigned to the Essex County State Police Detective Unit.
Okay. And as a member of the Essex County State Police Detective Unit, what are your duties and responsibilities, sir?
The office's primary responsibility is to investigate unattended deaths in Essex County. So deaths outside of the care of a doctor, suicides, overdoses, homicides. We also assist the local police as requested with any investigations.
Okay. And sir, you said you were a sergeant?
Yes.
How long have you been a sergeant in this particular position?
Over 3 years.
And prior to becoming a sergeant, when you were a trooper, sir, what was your assignment at that point?
I was a trooper in the detective unit for, so minus 3 years, 6 or 7 years.
Okay, so been a member of that unit for about 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to investigating deaths, unattended deaths in Essex County, do you have any particularized training with regards to cellular phones?
Yes, I do.
And what kind of training do you have with regard to cellular phones, sir?
For specific phones, the device itself, in 2018, I completed a 40-hour course and a certification through a company called Cellbrite. Their software is used to forensically download phones and analyze the data that's taken from those phones. Every 2 years, we're required recertification, and I've completed that every 2 years since then.
Is there another company that also provides software to do forensic downloads of cell phones?
Within our office, we also have a software called Graykey. That software specializes more in iPhones, and at the time, previously was more geared towards locked iPhones.
Okay. But both of those, Cellbrite and Graykey, both do essentially the same thing. They go, you plug the phone into a computer, essentially, that is running those programs, and they download either part or all of the phone, depending on what you're looking for and what you're doing.
Correct. Each company, the software will go in, download anything it can get off the phone, depending on whether it's locked, the model, the software version, and the updates on the software.
Okay. And you have continued to perform those types of forensic downloads on cell phones in connection with various investigations in Essex County since you became certified to do so?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Now, I want to draw your particular attention to an investigation that began on or about November 12th, 2022 in Salisbury regarding the death of an individual named Leroy Fowler. Were you aware of that investigation, sir?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Did you have any part in that particular investigation?
In the initial investigation, I didn't respond to the scene. I was just asked to download, I believe, 3 phones involved in the case.
All right. Now, one of those phones belonged to the defendant, Judy Church, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and another belonged to Mr. Fowler, the decedent, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you, let's start with Miss Church's phone. You were given that phone by then Trooper Williams, who was the lead investigator on the case. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
All right. And he asked you to perform those forensic downloads of the phone?
Yes.
At the time that you were performing the forensic download, did you know the password to Miss Church's phone?
Yes, the passcode was provided by Trooper Williams.
All right. And does that make it easier to do a forensic download than if you don't have to figure out what the passcode is sort of with the software?
Yes, if the phone's unlocked, you're more likely to get more data off the phone.
Okay. So with regard to Miss Church's phone, you did these two forensic downloads, one with Cellbrite, one with Graykey. And then what did you do with the downloads themselves once they were completed?
So with the software, it requires a license, but inside the Cellbrite software, you can create a reader report, which allows anyone to view the data that's saved on or obtained from the phone. So I created the reader report. I gave that to Trooper Williams on a USB, and I gave him the phone back into his custody.
Okay. We'll get back to Ms. Church's phone in a second. But with regard to Mr. Fowler's phone, did you try to do a forensic download of Mr. Fowler's phone as well?
Yes, the phone was locked with an unknown passcode. So it was connected to the Gray Key software, and basically it wasn't supported to obtain the passcode off of the phone, which Gray Key can try to do. But we were able to get a partial download. It basically gets anything it can get.
All right, and that partial download didn't get any calls, any messages, any emails. It really just got some of the basic information about the phone number and the subscriber.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So then going back to Ms. Church's phone, you said that you provided the forensic download on a thumb drive, USB drive, to Trooper Williams, as well as you gave him the physical phone back to, so those would be back in his custody, correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, did Trooper Williams bring your attention to some videos that he had located on the phone while doing a review of the download and looking at the phone?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And he asked you to sort of look at some of the metadata associated with those videos. Is that right?
Yes.
What's metadata, sir?
So within the download, it can provide a date and time that it was stored on the device or saved on the device. In certain cases, it will show a model or a make of phone that was used to take the photo or the video. And it can also contain location information.
And so did you go back and look at the download that you had done sort of with regard to certain videos that were taken on November 11th, 2022 between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
And you looked at the metadata associated with those videos for Trooper Williams?
I did.
Okay. In preparation for this trial, you, along with some of the others in the office, caused those videos to be put on a particular thumb drive. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you had a chance to review those and know that they're on the thumb drive?
Yes, I did.
You want to read off of those as the next exhibit?
These are like Sarah Boone videos.
Next exhibit.
This is filming him having medical complications. They're not the text message ones. Did you just lick that, sir? Did you just lick?
Oh, you did. Sorry.
What did you just do with that? Like lick your finger and then... This case is like Mark Jensen, Sarah Boone, and let's see.
What's that?
One other. What's the third case if you mix them together?
So with regard to the videos, sir, you told us that they were time-stamped November 11th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was there a location data associated with those videos?
Yes, there was. Within the PDF report that's on this drive, as well as the locations tab within the download, the locations exported just in a more user-friendly manner than in the metadata.
Okay, and where were those videos? Where were those videos taken?
If you took it provides a latitude, longitude. If you took that and just put it into any mapping, so Google Maps, it's 108 Central Ave in Salisbury.
All right. And could you tell, based on the metadata associated with the phone, were those videos taken on Ms. Church's iPhone itself?
The metadata shows an iPhone 11 Pro Max, so it provides the model of the phone that recorded the video.
And was that the same model of phone that you performed the download on?
Yes, it was.
All right. At this time, Judge, we're gonna turn it up. With the court's permission, play the videos.
All right.
Yes, you may.
Sergeant Picard. That's who reminds me of anyone, Captain Picard. Just find a monitor in the courtroom. We'll zoom in on that. Oh, man.
And just so these videos were actually split up into segments. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, there were 13 videos in total.
Okay. And each one of them has a sort of a time associated with them. Is that correct?
Yes, the November 11, 2022, and the time is associated with the created, the data where it says it was created, which means it was stored to the phone at that time.
Okay, so the first one that we just watched would have been stored to the phone at 7:29 a.m.?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
I'll warn you, we have about half an hour of these videos. Gotta turn the audio off, sorry. Turning the audio off for these because of the music in the background. Okay, at what point does if you observe this in somebody you know, and you know that this behavior is out of the norm, at what point do you call 911? And I would say it's all, we've passed that already personally for me. Gonna mute the sound again. We have heard that at some points during these videos, she is asking him, what are you on, or what did you take? Insinuating that he ingested something or took an illicit drug that was giving him this reaction. She's just sitting on the bed watching TV during all this and filming him. Yes, this is the Sarah Boone portion of the trial. Hang on one second. Trying to see if we're stuck or not. her feet. She's just sitting there doing nothing.
You having fun?
Having fun. All these are time stamped. I think they took place over the course of, looks like half an hour.
That's the way to the bathroom. He hasn't gotten far. Maybe 6 feet. I tried to help him and he pushed me right into the door jamb, so he's not taking me out with him.
Meaning she knows he's dying? It's possible. I don't know. We'll have to hear from the Emmy. It's possible he may have, because he did use some illicit drugs, that he may have initially, when the symptoms started, taken some drugs.
Why are you pulling that closer to you? You hit your head on it 5 or 6. Nice. Nice. Is that helpful?
I know what we just saw.
And there goes the head. That's 7 times. Boy, I'm hoping you're really enjoying those pills, honey. This has been going on for over an hour. Those shoe baskets aren't going to help you get up. Okay, well, you made it almost to the bathroom and you fell backwards and you gotta start all over again. This is fun.
Last one.
fucking bedroom apart. Oh yeah. Happy birthday, Leroy. Spit in a bag, will you? Hey. What? What? Tell me what?
We were calling the ambulance.
Yeah?
Remember in the beginning when we started?
Okay. What did you take? They're going to ask me. They're going to ask me, what did you take? Do you understand? If I call the ambulance, they're going to ask what you took.
Call the freak.
Throw it up. Just get it out of your system. Can you breathe? Are you breathing? Hey. Am I calling the ambulance?
Yes.
All right.
So those videos were taken, you said there were 13 separate videos?
30 minutes.
Yes.
Okay,
Let me just stop you for a moment, Mr. Camellia. The record will reflect that all 13 videos were played in sequence without any questions being put to the witness while they were played. Go ahead, Mr. Camellia.
Thank you. Well, Judge, just so the record is clear, I played the first one. I did ask a couple of questions and then played.
That's right. After the 2 through 13 were played without interruption.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So these videos 1 through 13, sir, were taken between 7:29 a.m. and 7:59. I said a.m. 7:29 a.m. and 7:59 a.m. on November 11th, 2022.
Those are the created times within the data.
That's when they were saved to the iPhone.
Yes.
Okay. And with an iPhone, are videos like that generally saved upon pressing the stop button? Upon the completion of the video?
I would believe so, yes.
All right. Nothing further with this witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
That's me, Judge.
Mr. Scully.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
I just have a few follow-up questions, if I may.
Of course.
And just regarding the videos that we all just watched.
Yes.
So they obviously depicted an individual. Do you know that person to be Leroy Fowler?
I've been told. I didn't interact with anyone involved.
But you know the name?
Yes.
Through your interactions in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And have you, in your experience as a police officer, ever responded to any drug overdose type of situations?
Yes.
How many times have you approximately done that?
I mean, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, so.
Many.
Many, yes.
Is it fair to say that in those drug overdose situations, there's basically a vast spectrum of how the people that you are responding to might be acting?
Yes, I mean, typically in my role, we arrive after any type of medical aid has been rendered or anything like that.
Okay. Have you had experiences arriving while people are still under the influence and maybe not given yet or not benefited yet from their medical care?
Yes, a handful of times, yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say you see a spectrum of people acting on a spectrum at that time, right? Some in a lot of distress and some maybe not as much distress, right?
It's fair to say, yes.
Okay. Mr. Fowler on these videos appears to be in a quite serious amount of distress. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
He's rolling around on the floor in the beginning, right?
Yes.
And he's not using his words, right?
Correct.
He's groaning and grunting a bit.
Yes.
One thing we don't know is these videos start and then they stop and there's a gap of some time and then there's the next video that would start, right?
Yes.
So obviously, we don't know what happens in that gap, what words were said or what actions were taken, right?
Correct.
Okay, but there are words spoken as the videos proceed, particularly towards the end few videos, right?
Yes.
And are you aware through your work in this case that Judy Church is the person holding that phone, or do you just know it's her phone?
I'm aware that the phone was given to me. It's the information attached to the phone says Judy Church's phone.
Right. And you can hear her voice.
I've never heard her speak, but
okay. So that's Judy Church's voice speaking as she's holding the phone, recording Leroy Fowler. Fair to say?
Okay.
And towards the end, she seems to be negotiating with him a little bit. Is that right?
Regarding the ambulance?
Well, regarding getting information from him just before she calls the ambulance, right?
Yes.
She wants to know, what did you take? What did you take?
That's
right?
what she says, yes.
Yeah. And she, in particular, that exchange goes back and forth, but mostly her, where she says, tell me what? And he says, you better call an ambulance. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And she says, okay, what did you take? Do you recall that?
Yes.
And he kind of groans in response. He doesn't give her an answer, right?
Correct.
She had mentioned something about pills before. Is that correct?
In a previous video, yes.
In one of the previous videos, non-specific pills, right?
Yes.
And then she again says, they're gonna ask me. They're gonna ask me, what did you take, right?
Yes.
So he has acknowledged he would like the ambulance at this point, at the end of these videos, but she's still trying to find out what he took and not yet calling the ambulance, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he's groaning again in response, doesn't tell her what he took, right?
Right.
And she says, well, do you understand? If I call the ambulance, they're going to ask me what you took, right?
Yes.
And then he continues. He doesn't answer that question. He doesn't take that moment to express with words, if he's even able to, what he took or what happened, right? He just kind of groans again.
Right.
Right? And she encourages him to throw up, just get it out of your system, right?
At some point, yes.
This is right towards the end in the last video, right?
Okay.
And then it takes a little bit of a turn, and Judy Church, asks a different question. Can you breathe? Are you breathing? Right?
Yes.
And then she says, am I calling the ambulance? Right?
Yes.
And the male says yes. Leroy Fowler says yes, right?
Yes.
And then Judy Church says, all right. Right?
Yes.
And then to your knowledge in the case, are you aware that she made the 911 call that brought first responders to 108 Central Ave to now engage and provide care and services to Leroy Fowler?
I did learn that at some point, yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Mr. Camellia?
Nothing else, Judge.
Thank you very much, Trooper. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Or Sergeant, I should say.
Sergeant. Captain Picard, step down.
Sorry, Judge, we're just talking about scheduling for one.
That's fine. Go ahead. Figure out who's next.
And then tell us. We're definitely hitting 300 on the cough counter today.
Brian Verney.
Brian Verney. Thank you.
Here's more great.
Hi. Just going to ask you to stand behind the blue line.
Sir, if you'd raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. In a nice loud voice, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name?
Good morning. My name is Detective Brian Verney, Verney.
And sir, where do you work?
I work for the Salisbury Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer in Salisbury, sir?
In Salisbury, I've been a police officer since 2016.
Were you a police officer elsewhere before that?
Yes, I was a police officer in North Reading for 3 years before that.
Okay. And sir, what is your current assignment?
Currently, I'm assigned to our Criminal Investigations Division as a detective.
How long have you been a detective with the CID, sir?
Since February 2021.
And as a detective in Salisbury, sir, what are your primary duties and responsibilities?
Well, I'm our only detective, so any case that needs additional follow-up or any cases that are of more of a serious nature that require more investigation gets assigned to me.
Okay. And I know there's not a number of homicides in Salisbury, but when those happen, do you take the lead on those, or do you assist somebody else in the lead on homicides that occur in Salisbury?
So we always respond initially, but we include the state police.
Okay. And the state police, once they get involved, would take over the lead in the investigation. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, sir, I want to take you back to November 12th of 2022. Were you working on that day?
Yes, I was.
All right. And at some point, sir, did you get did you get some information that family members of an individual named Leroy Fowler had contacted the police department?
Yes.
Okay. Had you been aware that there had been a 911 call and a police and ambulance response to Mr. Fowler's home on November 11th, 2022, when you first spoke to the family on the 12th?
I had read it in our police log in the morning.
So aware of it, but not involved?
Correct.
All right. After speaking to the family members, what did you do on the 12th, sir?
I contacted the state. Actually, at first I contacted my lieutenant and filled him in on the what was told to me, and then he contacted the state police.
Okay. And did some state troopers come up to the Salisbury PD to Salisbury to meet with you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And where was the first? Was that at the time then Trooper Williams, now Sergeant Williams?
Yes.
Okay. There was a second trooper who was also around, a Trooper Lannon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, did you and Trooper Williams go someplace when Trooper Williams came up to Salisbury and made contact with you on the 12th?
Yes.
All right. Where'd you go?
We went to 108 Central Ave.
Okay. Had you been to 108 Central Ave, or at least the area, in connection with your duties previous to this day?
In that area, yes.
Okay. Did you know either Leroy Fowler or Judy Church at that point in time?
There had been some past involvement.
Well, you personally? Did you
Personally,
know
no.
No. Okay. So you and Trooper Williams went over to 108 Central Ave and go in a cruiser. Is that fair?
We drove in my unmarked car, yes.
Okay. And you're generally a plainclothes officer. Is that fair?
Generally, but on this day, I was assigned to patrol to cover the road from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
So you were wearing your uniform on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in Salisbury, do police uniforms for patrol officers include body cams?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And were you wearing your body cam on that day?
Yes, I was.
Now, about what time was it that you and Trooper Williams went to 108 Central?
I believe it was a little after 3 o'clock.
Okay. And what did you do when you went there?
We knocked on the door, tried to contact somebody who lived there.
All right. Did you get an answer?
No.
Okay. Did you decide to wait around for a few minutes, just talking, or see what sort of happened?
Yes.
Okay. So where were you and Trooper Williams after you knocked on the door and didn't get an answer?
We were on the sidewalk in front of the house.
Okay. After a few minutes, did something happen?
Yes.
What was that?
Judy showed up.
Okay. And how did she arrive?
She drove there in her car.
Okay. So when she got out of her car, did you realize who she was? Did you recognize her? Sort of or did she introduce herself?
Yeah, Trooper Williams went over and spoke with her.
Okay. And did you and Trooper Williams have a conversation with Miss Church out in the driveway sidewalk area?
Yes, we did.
When you first contacted Miss Church, so you walk up to her? Is that fair to say? And how close were you when you were talking to her?
Within a few feet.
Okay. Yeah. And did she appear to be under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No.
Did she have any difficulty Did she appear to have any difficulty to understand what you were saying to her?
No.
Did you have any difficulty understanding her responses to your questions or Trooper Williams' questions?
No.
Now, at this point, you only had your brief phone conversations with some of Mr. Fowler, Leroy Fowler's family. Was it just one family member that you had spoken to at that point in time?
Yes.
Okay. Had you spoken to anyone else about Mr. Fowler and his condition at that point in time?
So we had spoken with a doctor at Mount Auburn Hospital.
Okay. And did you know that there was a concern at that point in time regarding antifreeze or ethylene glycol present in Mr. Fowler's blood? Did you tell Ms. Church that you were going to use your body cam to record the conversation that you had with her?
Yes, I did.
And in connection, in preparation for today and your testimony, you and I had placed on a thumb drive the body cam footage of that interview. Is that fair? Okay.
All right, we're about to get
offer this
the
as
body
the
cam
next,
footage.
The next exhibit.
No objection, Judge.
It may come in.
It may come in. No, it's going to. Just like all the germs are. Germs are coming in.
One of these, and we'll tag it. What number is this? Okay.
Exhibit 13, thank you.
13, so marked. You're welcome.
Judge, if, with the court's permission, we're going to start the video.
You may.
I'll take the under on that one. I think we're going to be under 500. Closer to 400. Don't have any audio yet. Give it a second to click on. Should be about 30 seconds.
My son. Hi. Hi, babe. Here, hon. Would you, may my son come out with me?
I would prefer just to talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, state police, dog free police. This is getting better and better.
So, just so you know, we have body cams. I don't know. If you
Body
need that.
cam, yeah.
So, just it's on. It's recording.
Oh, yeah.
Is this comfortable for you? To talk
She's about to give him a hug.
I'll let you go. Just because Leroy's in critical condition, we want to just follow up and just kind of find out what happened.
I'm just going to stop it there for one sec. Just to have the individual that was just speaking, that is you, correct?
The voice you're hearing is me, yes.
Okay. Then the individual wearing the white shirt and the tie on the left side is Trooper Williams?
That's correct.
And then Miss Church on the right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The state police is here.
So I'm assigned to the Essex County District Attorney's Office. So in this case, we investigate all deaths. There has obviously not been a death. But Salisbury is preemptively reaching out to us because I know he's your boyfriend, correct?
Yes.
So he's in critical condition. Like, kind of give you an idea of what my job is. Like today I was in Lynn. There was a man that overdosed and died in Lynn. So we go, look, that's what we do. We had spoken to the doctor. We know that your boyfriend is in critical condition. There's a possibility. He's not in good condition. You were at the hospital today. So we're trying to just get ahead of everything and just get all our ducks in a row. So I just kind of want to know. I have to just go through a walkthrough of what happened yesterday. I heard that he had seizures. Is that accurate?
He couldn't walk.
Couldn't walk. So could you just, because I believe it was 8:30 in the morning it came in the calls.
You think around 8 o'clock?
Can you just walk me through like how he was the night before and then the morning and then what led to 911? Because obviously I wasn't here yesterday, so I just kind of need to know what happened and then.
That's my dog.
I just kind of need to know what happened and then that's pretty much it.
So around 9 o'clock, we were watching TV in the bedroom. That's our bedroom. And we went down to the back. And I put on like a Christmas, Hallmark Christmas. Thanksgiving. And he went out in the back room, which he does often, goes on his phone. And I checked on him every once in a while. We had done a lot of work that day. We were trying to get back to Florida. Are you telling me he's dying?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying. But I'm saying
we're trying to figure out how did he get there?
Because when you said that,
were there drugs involved?
The doctor just said he's in critical condition, right? So obviously that's just something where when we hear critical as state police, unfortunately, just.
I heard last night they were going to do dialysis.
Yes. Yep, they're going to do that. Yes.
No, they are going to do that because all his numbers were coming down.
So that's why we just, in these situations, the police departments reach out to us. We come out, and obviously, I've had plenty of times, like just last week, I was at a shooting in Lawrence. The guy gets shot.
I don't care about anybody else. All right.
I'm just saying we preemptively will do things, and then people. It doesn't result in death, though. Like this, unfortunately, this is just my line of work, and it's very uncomfortable. I understand that. So by no means am I trying to add stress to you. It's just with the district attorney's office, it's just what has to be done for these type of incidents.
And just from our perspective, it's a lot easier to kind of figure out what's going on rather than a week or two from now.
Yes.
Coming back and trying to say, you remember what happened last night a lot better today than you would a month from now. So we just try to, it's just part of what we do.
I have a tremendous amount of empathy for what you're going through. I'm not trying to add stress to you.
She just rolled over to the hospital and they said that she couldn't visit, so just.
She wasn't taking visitors and that I wasn't the proxy. I know every medical issue.
That's an important reason why we want to talk to you. That's exactly the reason we're here.
Yeah,
so you probably know more about him than anybody else.
Yes.
So anyways, he goes out in the back room and he watches his true crime stories, and I'm watching my Hallmark, and every once in a while I hear him get a soda, and he pokes his head in, and or I get up, or the dog's out. Anyway, so there was a few times that we had kind of talked, and everything seemed fine. He was doing what he does out in the back room.
When you say back room,
it's
up here?
At the stairway.
Okay, that's like his hangout.
Yeah.
So he was coherent, performing, nothing that was out of it.
Right, and talking and having a conversation. And around 4, because I looked at, we were expecting a friend of his to pick up metal that we had put in Saab's driveway, and they around 4, I looked at the clock. It was like 4:20, and I knew his friend wasn't coming till 11 in the afternoon.
And who was his friend?
Jimmy.
Okay, so he was coming to hang out. Or...
No, he picked up the metal.
Oh, the guy picked up the metal coming out.
Yeah,
11.
he wasn't coming till 11 next day.
Yeah.
And that's what he told me, and that was at 4 or something in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And
so from 9 to 4.
Yeah. He's in the back room.
Right, but so at 4 a.m. he told you someone's coming at 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
I asked him, I said, is that Kenny out there? And it's not his truck, and, I don't know, who that is, but they're taking all the metal.
Yep.
And he went, okay, and yeah, around 6:30, he comes into the bedroom. He falls asleep out in the back room, and I comes in. We had some relations between the two of us, I'm not going to say it on camera.
Yeah.
And everything was fine.
That was at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, but he told me, he says, I fell like 3 times, I can't walk. And he says, and I had to go to the bathroom. And I said, let me help you. Well, he was lightless.
And was that also around 6 a.m.?
No, it's now 7.
Now 7. Yeah, like this. All right.
And anyways, I was trying to get him back into the bed. He did. He got back into the bed. He's like really bad. And he's not. He didn't hurt me or anything, but he's combative. He had something in his head and he had to do it. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, let me help you. Boom, he falls. Our bed's like this high off the ground. Boom, fell right out, took all the covers with him. I get up, and I'm hoping he's just going to stay down for the count. I put a pillow under his head, I put a blanket over him. Nope, he's going to stay down.
Is he like altered mental state probably at this time? He's not acting like himself?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Talking. So when you say like combative, then it's almost like he didn't know what was going on. Yeah, disoriented. Okay, all right. So okay, got it.
And wouldn't just do as I asked. And
yes.
Every time I got him close to even getting a hand up on the bed, he'd turn, and and it'd be like, oh, here we go. And so he bounced around the room, and I was like, do I need to call the ambulance? And that was maybe 7:30. I don't remember the time frame.
Yep.
But I tried to get him to say my name, talk to me. Can you hear what I'm saying? And he really had no words, but he did say call the ambulance.
Yeah, he didn't feel, yeah. And then were you the one that called?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're the son, right? Yeah. Son. So, but just you live upstairs. There's nobody else that lives upstairs on the second floor? Just you two live upstairs on the second floor. Okay. So then you called the ambulance. I'm assuming they came, right? And then they took him. And then when he woke up from 4 a.m. to then, I don't know anything about him. Does he abuse alcohol? Does he use narcotics?
Nope.
Does he, I guess, any like unhealthy activities? To be vague, like he doesn't drink. He doesn't use drugs.
I have known him to do some recreational drugs.
Okay, and that's what type. Part of what we're trying to figure out. Yeah, figure out what happened.
Coke.
Okay. Did he do cocaine or Percocet that morning?
I have no idea.
Okay, because when he was up at 4, but then you were kind of up around 4, but you didn't see him, at least to your knowledge. You didn't see him do cocaine or take Percocets.
No.
And when he, I'm assuming when he would take cocaine, he would snort it, but is that accurate? The cocaine?
I guess so.
Okay, and then have you ever seen him take Percocets? Does he snort them? Does he ingest them orally?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. And then
I don't know how he
ingests.
I guess you take a pill and you snort cocaine.
Okay. Did he eat breakfast? Did he drink anything? He didn't have any alcohol?
It was too early. I mean,
too early.
He was out of it.
Okay, so he didn't eat anything, didn't drink anything?
No,
okay.
he really didn't.
Okay, because I heard that you thought he might have ingested something. So that's
because this guy had seen this before.
Yeah.
Like right when COVID had happened, it was like 48 hours of hell for me.
Oh, wow.
Because, like I said, he was out, and he had left before, and then came back, you know, and he's got his, you know, little secrets. And
And what do you mean by secrets?
We're not here to make any judgments.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
I know.
I'm not trying to interject. It's just part of
We
my
need-
job.
we need to know
Probably
everything.
I'm not trying to interject into like your personal life. And I know your son's here.
you know, you can buy anything on the street, anything. People sell it all, and he knows them. So
Got it.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, I know what you mean. Okay.
So he left, you know, and then came back, and then.
Out of it?
That morning?
No, back
this
in
was the other time. The first time?
2019.
Because when you've seen him, I'm assuming you've seen him after he's either taken Percocets or cocaine in the past. Have you seen him like high on those before?
I wouldn't know what to look for.
Like, would I guess because
Percocets.
what he was displaying the other day, like his physical, what he was
Was
displaying. Have you seen that? In the
similar
past?
to, like I said, you know, those hours, days actually. But he had more words, you know, but a lot of gibberish.
Days?
A lot
Back in
of gibberish.
2008.
He'll run off and do the stuff. There's nothing that goes on in a second.
He does,
He'll
you know, he leaves for days.
Yeah, he'll leave for days.
You know, he's not always here. Let's put it that way. He's not always here.
He likes to party.
Like going on like a bender type situation.
Yeah, he's got another, you know. He loves me.
I have people in my life like that. I know what you mean with people that you care about who go off on benders, and it's almost like two different personalities. It depends. You don't know who you're going to get some days. That's at least my personal experience with people I know and care about. It happens a lot more than you think.
So, you know, he works hard, plays hard.
Yeah. Speaking of, what does he do for work?
Although he's disabled, you know, but he
okay.
does, you know, he'll do his thing, you know.
He's like handy.
Yeah.
Just an animal.
Okay. All right, so then basically just make sure I have it right. He was good the night before, woke up at 4, his friend...
and they had a conversation. We had a conversation at 4:30.
I can attest to that too, because I spoke to him when I get home, like 7-ish from work.
Yeah.
That night.
And he was telling me, hey, you know, I just banged around a bunch of stuff in the back, and you know, I cleaned up the back room. You can go check it out. Put everything to the side, blah blah blah. And I was like, cool, yeah. He's like, this weekend, you know, I'll help you put new fenders on your truck and blah blah blah. And I was like, cool, I'm down. But yeah, after that, I mean,
then you didn't see him until after he went to bed.
No, I didn't
the next
see him
day.
after that, no.
Okay, and then he woke up, didn't eat breakfast or have coffee or whatever like that. Too early, and then
we heard banging around.
He doesn't drink coffee.
It sounds like there was a period of how long was that period where he started displaying the symptoms, and then he was like, call the ambulance. Like, was that like an hour? Was that like 2 hours?
Like an hour.
Like an hour. So it was about an hour of like trying to.
Yeah.
You don't feel good. You're trying to work through it, and then
because
eventually.
because I had seen all of this before.
Yeah.
You know, I could get him to calm, you know, down, and I was hoping for that. And, you know, he was just clutching at everything in the bedroom. You know, tore down the curtains, and you know, and I kept telling him that rocking chair is not going to help you get up. You know, and let me help you, and just make sure he wasn't hurting himself.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, like. Has he ever in the past had any suicidal tendencies or ideations or suicidal attempts?
No.
No. So he's not. So you don't like it couldn't have been like he.
No,
woke up
I don't think so. He's very, he's very in his mind a lot. You know,
Okay.
he's a faker when he gets, you know.
So he's enjoying life. He's not.
No sort of like depression or anything.
No, it's not depression. It's more of a, you know, he hates the things he does to me, and you know, it makes him sad, and you know, when he just reverts into his head, and I don't call that depression. I call that reflection, really.
Okay.
And,
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay.
But you know, he's his own man. Really.
Never has said something like, "You'll be better off without me," or
nothing like that.
No sort of like.
No, he's really kind of fond of himself.
Okay.
Okay, and I had one other question. So after, so when he originally went over to the hospital,
What's that?
when he originally went over to the hospital at Anna Jake's,
Yes.
Was he still kind of like in and out? What was he like?
So you saw him when they took him out in the chair. I was taking care of the dog so I could get my dress lace up.
Yeah.
He was definitely out of it.
You mean in him out of the house?
In a stair chair, yeah.
Did you go to the hospital to Anna Jake's?
Oh, God, I was there all day.
So, what was he like there? That's what I'm asking. Was he still just couldn't talk to him, nothing?
They had to, when I got there, he was combative still, not,
Okay.
what's the word, you know.
Yeah, we see that all the
Just
time.
struggling to get out of this.
Yeah, no, that's common.
You know, when his feet were sliding between the poles, I might even break his leg. And I said, "Have you given something for this?" And you know, finally, you know, it was a short time later, they sedated him, so they pumped, and that was the last. He really had no worry. Where's my dog?
That's what he was concerned about.
And, you know, he's not with me or anybody. Where's my dog?
And you've never seen him like how you saw him yesterday, without the use of like narcotics or drugs. He's never had like a medical episode like this.
No.
You mentioned during COVID 2 years ago. He was similar to this.
Right.
So and that was with narcotics. There's never been a time that this happened.
Yeah.
So what do you think probably happened then? If or do you not have any idea?
I was assuming, since it was like, you know, very similar, that in 2019 when he left for a little while,
yeah.
I'll be right back to.
Does he store any narcotics in the house? Like if he takes Percocet or like cocaine, does he have any of that in the house? Like where could he have gotten it? Because I'm just thinking if he woke up at 4 and then, you know, fire and EMS are here like 8:30ish and he never left the house, like, so he must have had it if that's what it is. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But based on everything you're saying, am I correct in interpreting probably where it's going? You know, that's how at least I'm interpreting what you're saying.
Yeah,
You know,
I hear what you're saying.
So there had to have been some place in the house that he must have stored it, but you just don't know where that was. It could have been a private place. How long has he lived here with you? Because I was under the impression he didn't live here.
10 years.
So he's lived here for 10 years with you. So he doesn't just come over and visit.
No.
Oh,
This is his home.
I must have misheard. I thought that, but you're his girlfriend, right?
Who did you hear from?
When I was talking to my lieutenant who called before I came up, so it's kind of like a third party thing. They were like dispatching me.
Right.
They were like, "Yeah, I guess he was visiting his girlfriend." So I thought he was visiting you, so he didn't live here.
Yeah, I'm not the visitor girlfriend.
No, he was visiting you because I know this is your house, right? But it's both of your house. Okay. And he's been here for 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of the telephone game when Salisbury calls our duty office.
Oh, you should have heard the telephone game I heard this morning.
Yeah, that's why I like to come to the stores and ask because.
Stupid telephone.
No, and I have a tremendous amount of empathy for everything that's going on with you guys right now, and I know it's uncomfortable. It's just I'm the guy on call today, so I get the phone call. Hey, this is what's going on. Go up there, talk to them, because the example I just gave you. I take what someone tells me. I write my report. I would have been. He doesn't live here. He visits from time to time to see his girlfriends. That's what I thought. But now, I didn't know about the Percocets, things like that. So that's why I just come, talk, and then leave. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to cause any more stress on you at all. Obviously, we're going to keep monitoring him and his status in the hospital. I mean, they have great doctors in Boston. So
today they said I wasn't his proxy. I know everything about that man's. I got it all. I got the stack of it.
Is there anything in there that you think would be helpful for us or the doctor? Or? Yeah.
I am.
Oh, you are?
I am. But they said at the hospital today, well, how is he doing? Is he awake? Is he this? And she said he's okay. They think that his sister is a proxy, and I said, no, she's just the next of kin. She's not.
Stuff like that, I think you have to fill out official paperwork. Yeah. I know I'm the proxy for my father. He gave it to me. It's at my house in a folder, and I have it.
Yep. So, I can request his medical.
Do you have that paperwork then to give to the hospital? That obviously gives you authority as his husband.
My house is just a massive paperwork.
Okay. Where are you moving to Florida?
We bought a house in Hernando.
What part of Florida is that?
Crystal River.
Okay. So you guys are both going to move down. Is your son going to stay here?
Yeah.
You're going to stay, but you guys are going to move to Florida? When are you going to do that? Well, planning before
5 months ago.
You definitely don't think he was drinking?
No,
Definitely not.
No.
Doesn't even. You said he doesn't even drink.
He doesn't drink.
I've never seen him. I've never seen him act that way here. Never seen him drunk.
Okay.
Always
Okay.
normal, straight.
And definitely no. I want to.
I've never known him.
I don't want to live anymore. I'm
Here.
done. I'm sick of it.
Suicidal ideation.
He's happy. He's a good guy.
He's just
Just like
he's a hard always.
So maybe like an accidental. He ingested something and.
I thought it was CO
What he thought it was. You thought it was what?
I thought it was CO poison. I thought he was downstairs working all
carbon
day.
monoxide, yeah.
Oh,
He was in the basement.
Okay.
Gas down there.
Well, when did he do that?
That
All
day.
He was
That morning?
Yeah.
Shits from here.
Yeah, we cleaning out the. Yeah.
Oh, well, that would be good to know. All right, so from 4 in the. When did he go down? In the basement or is there a garage?
It's
There's
like
a
a
little-
little. Yeah.
Is it like a crawl space or is
It's
it?
like it's.
Can we see that?
Yeah, can we see that?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was. He was around.
It might be appropriate. Yeah, if we can.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, the reason we're here is to
Have the FD check
now.
out. I mean, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
So she was.
Do you have like a smoke detector or a CO detector down there?
I would tell you.
There was something down there, and we were cleaning it out. I think I brought it upstairs, actually. But I was telling Douglas yesterday, I want to get everybody, new monitors.
So yeah.
And have,
So he's in there all day long?
Not just put him in myself, but him in the fire department.
And that was the day of. So when he woke up, he went down in the basement. He said it's kind of
Like I said, he said I cleaned the back room out.
Yeah.
It looks nice down there. You put your stuff
He
down.
was dizzy.
The back room was.
That's what we call the back room. It's connected to my unit down
And
here.
it's kind of like a garage.
Kind of like a.
And where would the
space.
CO2 be coming? Is there a car in there or something?
No, just like
The boiler stuff and
boilers. Yeah.
Oh.
Can we just go see what's down there just to give us a frame of mind?
Yeah, just so I have an idea.
Was the generator running?
Yeah.
No. Was it running?
Yeah. Okay.
One says yeah, one says no.
But he works hard. He's a bull. And he was dizzy a lot. He kept.
But just in general or yesterday?
When he was while we were here. Well, he's been dizzy.
No, but I mean, like a week ago, would he be dizzy, or was it just this recent?
He gets dizzy easily. But more so when he's working.
That works. I guess he didn't.
Yeah, I know.
And he had some hard stuff too going on, right?
And he's got a pacemaker.
You said COPD earlier,
COPD, I definitely.
so that'll probably make you dizzy, right? Of breathing.
Yeah.
But just breathing in this like dark air.
But it's just shitty air down there.
Did he say there was he had headaches or anything?
Yeah.
When did he say he
He's
had?
had this all along, and he's already been to his doctor, and he's, he goes through the same thing, and he says nobody does anything for him.
So that was my take on it.
Is that door
This goes
to you?
Yeah.
That's to yours.
No.
Okay.
Can I see?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
Yeah, I'll come out so you can come in.
And so there's like the furnace and
yeah, there's all that stuff in there. And how long?
so everything that was in the back of his truck was down here. So this was all full.
Yeah, pretty much. It's full of full.
Other than what the metal man did.
Yeah.
That's your one. That's the other entry.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, exactly. We locked that door.
And you were just clearing
He was
out
working
stuff.
all
What
day
about
doing
this hose over this side?
A hose?
This is that like a dryer vent?
Yeah.
That's your dryer. Your dryer's right here.
Yeah, that's their bathroom.
All right. Okay, thanks.
I
don't want it on my head. Put it on the wall.
He's kind of in and out of there.
Yeah. Well, he's in there a lot, but but then he'd just stop and he puts his head, he's like, oh, and I'm like, you did see this? It's down, rest.
Would he do that
He
here?
works too hard.
Would you do that right here? He'd be like, you'd see him.
Oh, he did it like 5 times yesterday. That was
standing here.
Well, wherever he was.
Oh, where he was, just
standing.
kind of like not.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay. All
But I
right.
mean, that's an ongoing issue.
Well, that is what happened. Like that needs to be rectified because nobody could be in there, especially with you being on the other side.
I mean, not just dizzy from here. I mean, doing any kind of work, he'll stop, and it's like.
Okay. And he definitely didn't leave during the night. You would have heard him. Like say you went out to meet somebody.
Not necessarily. He's a sneaky guy.
Does that motion thing? Would that have picked him up?
It's not set up.
Unfortunately, that's the story of my life.
I know.
I have like a B&E or something, and everyone's like, "Oh, I got great cameras, but they're not working." Thanks.
I had my ring camera. I didn't see anyone.
It would have done like a motion.
It pings. It gets all the way to the truck.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So you can see like who's coming up and down the walkway.
Good.
All right.
then I don't have any more questions. And sorry for just.
You don't have any answers either.
No, not yet. But that's what we're trying. That's what we're trying to get the answers. And like I said, we just try to get ahead of some things, just because it's a lot easier than trying to remember what happened a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, or even 6 months ago. You know, if something else comes up. What's the best phone number to reach you at, Judy?
978-36.
867-5309.
Okay.
Interesting. The sun backs up
Do you have any questions for
Judy's
us?
story.
Probably. All right.
I just want you. Sick in my car.
I'm already. I'm sick of my stomach. I couldn't even sit on you.
So, I'm our only detective, so if you need me, just call the station and ask. My name's Detective Verney, but if you just say I need to speak to
Verney?
Verney, yeah, Verney. So, if you just say, I need to talk to the detective, they'll get you to me.
Do you have cards?
I have one in my car.
One of my cruiser. Last one of the last call.
Everybody's.
No, I do have it in my cruiser. No, I swear to God, it's in my cruiser.
Wait, that's like.
I literally gave my last one.
How many? I gave my last one on 2, but I also keep forgetting to restock it. So.
The rest of the video is just giving out phone numbers and talking about your business cards. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
I think Mr. Camellia will stop for the morning break here.
All right.
Jurors, before I let you go for the break, you may have noticed occasionally what looked like a jump cut in the video. Just as with a document where I told you things may get blacked out or redacted because either I've made a determination that something's irrelevant or the parties by agreement have agreed that something's irrelevant. The same may occur in various videos that you may see during the course of this trial. Don't speculate on what's been removed from any video or document. It's been removed because it has no bearing on anything that you have to decide in this case. With that, we will take a 20-minute morning recess.
All right. Just leave your notebooks on the chair.
As they go to their break, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, because we're a couple minutes behind.
Remember in the beginning when we started 110 years ago?
110 years ago. To the day. See if the lawyers have anything. Jury out. Close the door.
Detective Verney, you may step down. Let me just see counsel at sidebar for just a moment before we recess.
Court's back in session. May be seated.
So they're going to go to the sidebar. Let's skip ahead and get all the way caught up, right? Yes. We're all the way caught up. Now we're just waiting. Couple minutes break. Interesting. No, I didn't sleep through it. I was closing my eyes to focus more clearly on the audio I was hearing. Just closing my eyes and then tipping my head slowly down to stretch my neck at the same time. Not sleeping. Very, very different. You guys completely read that wrong. Here's what I'll say. I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this trial and saying, okay, how do I start as a juror and give her the benefit of the doubt? I think they would definitely have to prove more than just those videos. Those videos are bad, right? But we have the hindsight. We know that he's suffering from antifreeze poisoning, and that he's dying. If I give the defendant the benefit of the doubt that she doesn't know that, could this be Could this be a, I guess it could be intentional. Self-administered. It could be somebody else. I mean, we do have the son who at one point had a restraining order on the dad, right? Who's also present. I did hear that Chuck Norris passed away, 86 years old, in Hawaii. I will say that I forget where I saw it, but the best response to the news that he had been admitted to the hospital was the little quip that said, Chuck Norris admitted to the hospital in Hawaii, no word on the condition of the hospital. But sad to see a legend pass on. He probably ascended. Greeners, oh, yeah. Some person, a rando, complete rando, Greeners. I'm just saying, I saw the text, but I didn't remember who it came from. Like I think you had clipped a. Let's see. Wow. Who was it that said that initially? Was it somebody from Twitter, I thought? All right. I'm convinced the end is near. He won't be here to save us. Yes, the alien invasion he's been single-handedly staving off is about to occur. You'll just have to pick up the torch and carry it forward for him. You're our ninja here. To be honest, I would 100% have recorded my ex's behavior to show him when he's sober. Okay, we've seen that before. And I say we've seen this a little bit we've seen this also from Sarah Boone, but that was in a bad light. But it's not entirely uncommon to record someone when they're behaving badly, especially if you think they're under the influence that they, self-administered, to show them later. Say, look, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what you're doing to yourself and to others. I think in that light, yes, I would have definitely called 911 sooner, I think, than Judy did. But I think the state needs to do more. They have not proven her guilty for me. We need to have more. And even knowing that we're going to hear that there was antifreeze in his drink is not enough. I think they have to tie it to her specifically. We might need some text messages, some Google searches, some store receipts, buying antifreeze or something like that. We need something like that to draw that connection, or else it's still a not guilty for me. Grim Reaper finally got the courage to approach Chuck Norris. I think Chuck Norris approached the Grim Reaper. I think that's how it went down. All right. We know her DNA is on the bottle along with his, but if she bought it, I mean, her DNA is on the mouth of the bottle too, so that's bad. A jailhouse letter, maybe, possibly. A walk the cat letter. Her behavior when on the body cam, that was a little weird. We had several instances of her flipping between like complete breakdown, sobbing, and no tears whatsoever, and back and forth. And it was all very much a me thing as well. So I've got some suspicions. I would say I'm in the likely category right now, but I need a little bit more than that. She drank out of the bottle to make room for antifreeze. Ooh, wow. That would put her DNA on it. She didn't toss out the bottle, though. I don't think it was in the garbage, and it was under the cap. If not her, then who scenario, maybe. But if there are drinks that are stored there, basically anyone who could have access to the house at some point is a possibility. And we know there were 2 people that had access to the house, at least. No other DNA on the bottle. I think it's just those 2. They live in the same house. What are the bets that they fix the missing light? The light on the left-hand side of the... There needs to be 3 to balance everything out. Needs to be another light. Who else had motive? The son had a restraining order against him. The witness we heard from before this one. Or two witnesses ago. First one this morning. Motive means an opportunity. All right. Here we go.
Judge, could we see
We're
your
back on
sidebar?
back on the record. If Mr. Norkunis wants to see the court.
Judge is going to mask up.
Mr.
Sidebar it is. So we're gonna wait while the sidebar continues. The voodoo doll. Okay, right. The voodoo doll is not good, at least as far as evidence goes. The whole gaggle of goo goo. Is it a gaggle of goo goo dolls? Hard to say. That's not good. But the voodoo doll was not of him, right? The voodoo doll was of his other missus. The lady who was not known as Grandma, the other one. I did say gaggle of goo goo dolls. I think that's the appropriate. Oh, not goo goo. Gaggle of voodoo dolls, not goo goo. Sorry, I did say goo goo. I meant voodoo. Goo goo dolls don't sue me. Did we start a new trial? We did. Welcome. Join us. It was not the girlfriend. I agree. I don't think the girlfriend would have the access to the beverages to make that possible. So the voodoo doll didn't work. Could someone use the bottle to drain off excess antifreeze while working on bikes or cars? I know it would have been warned not to drink from a cup or a bottle, but because it wasn't what appeared. The bikes he worked on were bicycles, so I don't think he would have done that. I don't think he was also a mechanic. I mean, he was sort of like a handyman, but not really. I don't think he was like a car mechanic. That sort of neighborhood doesn't lend itself to that type of work, I don't think. I think for recording him while he was obviously in distress is crazy. Yes. You put the voodoo doll in mod chat. Not the real voodoo doll, but the fake one, right? Oh, that's the real one. Graders is currently doing a deep dive on my history. Let's see. The one they showed in trial is crazy. Okay, it is a wild one. I'm just going to show it with my phone because it's creepy, honestly. It's too creepy to put up on the screen other than that. Ready? Hold on. Okay, this is the voodoo doll that she made for Barbara. And it even says Barb on the bottom. And apparently she had multiple voodoo dolls. Maybe all of Barbara. Greeners just found a picture of me when I was 13 years old in a swim meet. I've never even seen this picture before. I didn't even know my picture was taken. I definitely didn't have permission. But there's an article. Is that from the Davis County Clipper, Greeners? Where'd you find that? No Speedo. I was the only one that wouldn't wear a Speedo. I wore I wish the picture were yeah, Clipper. Okay, that would have been the paper that was. It's since defunct, I think, but that would have been the paper that covered it. The meet held over the weekend went very smoothly. The Sharks, that was the name of our swim team. You see what we did there? The Sharks swim team. The Sharks hosted teams from Ogden and Layton with some 96 kids participating. Above, swimmers take their mark on the starting gun as the starting gun fires. Below, Scott, that's me, with my name, competes in the 200-meter freestyle. I'm glad they didn't put the rest of the story in there. Oh, this is like lay-bad photography. This is like you can barely tell it's a swimmer. Oh, sorry, we're coming back. The rest of the story was I'm pretty sure I got disqualified for hitting the rope too many times because I can't swim straight. But I wore fluorescent orange knee-length, like Hawaii swimsuit type thing, like surfer swimsuit. You're not going to catch me in a Speedo. Not going to happen. Thanks, Greeners. I never knew that existed. Voodoo Doll wasn't on my bingo card. Dylan Foster, thank you. OG, 22 months. Yeah. Ugh. That was not paper tearing, for those of you that were curious. Greeners, you are on a list. Amos, OG. Member for 16 months. You've been here longer. Welcome. Thank you very much. My brother-in-law was a swimmer. He still holds the state record. He used to puke at the end of his races. That's not appealing, especially for the person in the next race. But do sniffs count double? We're counting sneezes because a sneeze is sort of a cough as well. Coughs and sneezes in the cough counter. There is a thumbnail for this trial. It's currently attached to this video. I have fixed it, but you all clicked on it before I fixed it because I fixed it while it was live. So.
Well, Shin was kind of like that too. Yeah.
There was a cough. We're counting that one.
All right, pretty good.
And another. 223. It's always fun when you hit caliber numbers. It has a Petri dish and a voodoo doll on it. I'll grab the one with the Petri dish. We're going to update. Looks good.
Be seated.
Detective, when we broke, we had just finished watching the body cam of the interview that you and Trooper Williams did on November 12, 2022, yes?
Correct.
All right. Aside from what I had mentioned when I stopped the video, that there was some discussion about phone numbers and business cards, did you have any more conversation about the case, about what had happened to Mr. Fowler with Ms. Church that day?
No.
Okay. Did she ever mention to you having taken any videos of him prior to the arrival of the emergency medical personnel on on the day before, November 11, 2022?
No, sir.
Would that have been information that was helpful to the investigation?
Yes.
And you were present for a second interview of Ms. Church that happened on the 14th of November, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you understand from speaking to me that we're going to put that evidence in through Trooper Williams later on in the trial?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Nokunis.
Thank you, Judge. Detective, it's fair to say that when you were there, you were directing the interview with Ms. Church about the condition of Mr. Fowler and what she could shed on the condition of Mr. Fowler to you, right?
Correct.
And you were giving her a particular timeline. And in terms of her responses and the last questions by the district attorney, did she talk to you about any videos? She appeared to be very emotional when you were talking to her that day, right?
Yeah, she had a lot of ups and downs.
Right. Several times she appeared as if she was going to cry. And
Yes.
therefore, in terms of you were redirecting her at different times, bringing her back to the subject matter that you wanted, right? She was talking about, her relationship with Mr. Fowler, and she was expanding upon that relationship, and you were trying to focus on November 11th, 2022, right?
Well, we wanted to learn as much as we could about what happened. So
now, following that meeting with Ms. Church, and that lasted, a period. You were there at that site probably, an hour?
between a half an hour to an hour.
And it started at 3, so you got out of there around 4?
I believe so. No, I think it started around 4 o'clock.
And at some point in time, you had already set up a subsequent meeting to take place at Mr. Eaton's house, right?
That evolved as the day went on.
Sorry, what?
That evolved as the day went on. This was the first appointment we had made. And
Did you go to the meeting at the Eaton house?
Yes.
Okay. And that was around 5 o'clock, November 12th, right?
It was later in the day. I'm not sure exactly what time.
Okay. And how had you selected the people to come to that meeting?
We had spoken with the family, specifically Leroy Fowler III.
You lean a little bit into that mic.
Yes, sir. Sorry. So we were speaking with Leroy Fowler III, and we were just asking, anybody who had any information they wanted to share with us, we were willing to speak to.
Well, you brought Tammy, right? Did she come to that meeting?
Tammy was there, yes.
Yeah. William Eaton, right?
Billy, yeah, William Eaton, yes.
Leroy Fowler III, right?
Correct.
Okay. And had you and Lieutenant Sullivan sat down and said, who should we bring to this meeting?
I didn't think.
Judge, I think there might be some confusion. I don't know who Lieutenant Sullivan is.
Lieutenant Sullivan, Williams? Trooper Williams or
Trooper
someone
Williams.
else?
Trooper Williams, I'm sorry.
Trooper Williams?
I elevated him, Judge. I'm sorry.
And you gave him a different last name too, I think.
Right. So somebody had to select the people to come, right? You just they didn't randomly come there. Somebody had to call them, said, come to this location at this time, right?
Well, the whole family was pretty much together. When we had spoken with Leroy, the family was all in communication with each other, and obviously they were concerned about Leroy and his health. This is a serious matter for the family.
No reason is concerned, but to get them at one location at one time, that just didn't randomly happen. Somebody had to call them and say, hey, come to this location for this time. I want to talk to you about this, right?
Yeah, we coordinated through the family. I'm not
sorry,
sure
could
exactly.
you lean into that?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. So between us and the family, we all decided that was the best location.
Okay. So, and then how did you know to go to William Eaton's house?
We were invited there.
You were invited to come. So the family set up the meeting. They wanted to talk to you?
So ideally, any interview we would like to happen at the police station. So in coordinating it with I believe we did 4 interviews that night. It made the most sense to meet them there. It was the easiest.
And to your knowledge, did the folks you were going to meet with and talk to know what the substance of what the issue was that you were going to talk to them about? Did you prep them in any way to say, here's what we're going to ask you?
So the family reached out to us in the morning. Leroy Fowler III reached out to us in the morning, concerned about the condition of his father, and they all wished to speak with us. We wanted to learn as much information as we could about Leroy himself, about what might have happened. We were just as curious and confused as anybody else.
I don't have any further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Any follow-up on that, Mr. Camilio?
You were asked a couple questions at the beginning of the cross about Miss Church's demeanor during that interview. You remember those questions?
Yes, sir.
When was it that Miss Church got most upset during that interview?
Most upset would be when we referenced the other girlfriend, or she said, "I'm not the other girlfriend."
Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Nokunis?
No other questions, Judge.
Thank you very much, Detective. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Oops.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth would call Angela Scheidinger, please.
Just lost my counter.
I'm just going to ask you to stand behind the blue line and face the clock.
You could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
What's your step?
Did I miss any? Are we still on 234?
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Good afternoon. Introduce yourself to the members of the jury, telling them your first and last name, and then spelling your last name.
Sure. I'm Angela Scheidinger, and I'm a physician assistant in the emergency room. Last name is Scheideger.
Just like it sounds.
What hospital do you work in? What emergency room?
I work primarily not Melrose Wakefield, but also at Anna Jake's Hospital.
How long have you worked at Anna Jake's?
About 5 years as a PA.
And what is a PA?
A physician assistant, so I'm one of the providers in the emergency room.
And as a provider in the emergency room, can you describe very briefly to the jury what your duties and responsibilities are as a provider in the emergency room?
So we independently see patients that come into the emergency room, and then we discuss with our attendings depending on the case, but we order tests, we perform certain procedures, we interpret images along with radiology and talk to specialists and whatnot.
When you say the attending, who is that?
The primary doctor that's on with me in the emergency room.
So there'd be an emergency room doctor, a physician's assistant, and then potentially nurses who are assisting you?
Exactly, and nurse practitioners, which have the same role as my job.
In the emergency room at Anna Jake's, how does a physician's assistant differ from a nurse in terms of your responsibilities and duties?
Sure. I place the orders typically, and then nursing would draw blood or help care for the patient in other ways, give vital signs, that type of stuff. They're, I think, more involved with being at the bedside with the patient.
And as a physician's assistant, are you more involved if, as you indicated, the orders, but also looking at the results of certain tests that you ordered to make determinations of how to treat a patient?
Yes.
Very briefly, what is your educational background?
Sure. So I went to PA School Franklin Pierce and graduated in 2021. And I have worked in the emergency room ever since then. I worked previously in the emergency room as a technician prior to PA School.
Prior to
Skybell,
PA
thank
school, you were a
you.
technician.
OG.
What were your duties and responsibilities in the emergency room as a technician?
Sure. Vitals, I did EKGs, I transported patients to tests, helped providers if they needed help with certain procedures.
Excuse me. Can you kind of take us through when a patient comes into the emergency room at Anna Jake's via ambulance, what happens?
It depends. So if they are, if there's a room available and they're a critical patient, they go right into a room. Nurses will be at the bedside. They'll triage them, talk with the EMS, and then the patient if they're able to provide information. And then one of the providers goes in to evaluate the patient.
And I want to specifically turn your attention to November 11th of 2022. Were you working in the Anna Jake's emergency room that morning?
Yes.
Do you remember what shift you were assigned, what your hours were?
Yeah, I was working at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. that day.
At some point, did you have an occasion to be the physician's assistant for a patient by the name of Leroy Fowler?
Yes.
And was he a patient at Anna Jake's when you came in at 9 a.m.?
I don't remember if he was there before I got there, but I saw him pretty quickly after I got to work. So.
And what observations did you make of Mr. Fowler when you got to work around 9 a.m. that morning?
So he came in and he was altered. He was not really able to provide any information. He was thrashing around in the stretcher and not making any, valuable sentences or words that made sense to kind of tease out what was going on at that point.
Were you asking him questions and there was some type of response, but not something that was in response to your actual question?
Yeah, correct. I don't remember him ever giving me like a specific word that I thought was valuable in what I was asking him.
Did you, when you say altered, could you describe to the jury what you mean by altered?
Sure. He was basically incoherent. He, again, was not able to provide information or communicate like a normal person would. He wasn't following commands, was thrashing around in the stretcher.
Did you make observations of his eyes at any point?
Yes. So he had equal pupillary response, but it was slightly slower than usual.
What does that mean?
I believe it can be from a lot of things. So you can see it with certain medications. You can see it with head injuries. There's many different things. Light can affect it in general.
Is it fair to say when you first got there, because he was unable to appropriately or in any way answer your questions, you didn't have any information as to what had caused him to come to the emergency room?
Right. When I first saw him, I had really nothing except that he was altered. And I believe we didn't have like good records on him for review. So I had very limited information in terms of past medical history, medications he takes, stuff like that.
When someone comes into the emergency room altered and provide that type of information to you, what is the procedure? What did you order to happen?
Yeah, so altered mental status is very common in the emergency room, and some of the stuff is pretty standardized, but it also varies based off how severe their symptoms are. But we, check labs for abnormalities, look at glucose levels, look for infection, look for signs of trauma. There's a lot of different things that can cause altered mental status that we kind of gauge out.
Based on the observations that you are making of Mr. Fowler upon your immediate interaction with him around 9 a.m. that morning, what was your plan?
Yeah, so he came in and was very altered. His vital signs, I believe, were pretty normal, but I knew that he was going to be a critical patient. So I pretty quickly spoke with the doctor that I was working with that day and was trying to figure out if we had ICU beds available for the patient, and we didn't. And that was just an assumption based off how he presented that he would need a higher level of care. So I knew pretty early on that he probably was going to have to be transferred to another hospital.
And when you said needed a higher level of care, is that why you deemed him critical?
Yeah.
And is that common if Anna Jake's doesn't have an ICU bed available, that you would make arrangements with another hospital to get an ICU bed?
Yep. Very good.
Specifically going back to those initial observations of him, at some point, did someone come into the emergency room with Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
And was it a male or a female?
Female.
Was she there when you got there, or did she arrive shortly thereafter?
I think she came shortly after.
Was she providing you information as to what had happened to Mr. Fowler prior to him coming to the hospital?
Yes.
And what, to your memory, did she tell you?
So she identified herself as his girlfriend, and she said that the day prior he was acting normal, and that they were doing yard work, I believe, and then overnight it sounds like she, I think, got woken up in the middle of the night by him, and she said that he had fallen multiple times, and then around 6:30 in the morning, I believe, she had noticed that he was much more altered.
What was her demeanor as you were speaking to her?
She was pretty calm, and right by the bedside next to the patient, she was trying to be very helpful, I felt like, and answered the questions that I asked her.
Is it fair to say that any observations that you made of Mr. Fowler during your interaction with him, as well as any treatment that was given or requested, is documented in medical records that are kept by the hospital?
It should be, yep.
In this case, you've had an opportunity to review those medical records, correct?
Yes.
And in those records, did you actually document the conversation that you had with the female identifying herself as Mr. Fowler's girlfriend?
Yes.
With the court's permission, I'm going to show a portion of what's previously been marked as Exhibit 6.
You may.
Just one moment.
It's hard to keep up with all these coughs.
Um,
Let's take a look at this report, see what we can see. Oh, man, it's small. 55-year-old male with past medical history of hypercholesterolemia, ligament issues, and it's gone.
if I can.
Both implanted defib pacemaker, last replaced 2016.
Can you see that on the screen?
Too
or is
bad
it
heart
really blurry?
valves.
I can read it.
Okay, let's see what we do.
She says the
So, Ms. Scheidegger, in the history of present illness, did you specifically document the conversation that you had with the girlfriend of Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
And did you indicate, she states that yesterday he was behaving completely normally and they were doing a bunch of yard work together. He woke her up from sleep at 3:30 stating that he had fallen 3 times and she did not think that he was particularly altered at that time. This morning at 6:30, she found him and he has been extremely altered since. She tried to bring him to bed, but states he was dead weight and then fell out of the bed.
Yes.
Regarding no recent illnesses, he has not vomited. He has complained of abdominal pain to his girlfriend prior to arrival. Are all of those things that were provided by the girlfriend while she was in the emergency room with him?
Yes.
Did she also indicate that he may have taken a Percocet last night, but she is not sure?
Yes.
As part of the labs that you had ordered initially, was testing for narcotics part of that?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. And what narcotics specifically are you testing for?
I think there's a list. There's a list of the ones that we tested for. There's a lot, but there's opiates, and then we have fentanyl, and there's other types of drugs that we test for immediately in the toxicology screen.
And in your review of the results of the blood test that was taken from Mr. Fowler on that day for any narcotics, did you see any indication that he was positive for Percocets?
No.
I'm going to show you another portion of Exhibit 6 with the court's permission. It's page 4 of the summary, including the lab results. And if you could just kind of take us through what is depicted in this page.
Sure.
Judge, I would object. I think that speaks for itself.
pursuant to our conversation at sidebar, I will allow both counsel, if they wish, to highlight a few selected portions of the medical records. Jurors, you need to understand that you'll have the entire medical records in front of you, but if counsel wish to draw your attention with a witness on the stand to a particular portion, I'm going to permit them to do that. Unless the witness is someone like the present witness who may have some particular expertise and is construing the record, you can read the records as well as anybody else. I will simply allow them to be highlighted for you right now. Go ahead, Ms. Strasing.
Could you just kind of take us through what this is?
Sure. So this is the urine toxicology screen that we do. And the thing that came back positive was cocaine, but oxycodone, which is one of the active ingredients in the Percocet, is negative addition, and the opiates are negative as well in there. And I think somewhere there's a specific fentanyl test. I believe it's maybe on another page, but that's also negative.
So there was no indication in, I believe you said it was a urine test, not a blood test. I apologize, that Mr. Fowler was positive for Percocets.
Correct.
In reviewing the, actually, before I get into that, in the medical record, did you also document observations that you made of him during your interactions with him?
Yes.
I'm going to show you page 2 of 12 in Exhibit 6. You indicated that the vital signs were fairly normal?
Yep.
And in the general, thrashing around, eyes closed, grunting, and not answering any questions. Are those the observations of you that you made of him upon going into the emergency room?
Yes.
Then you went on to talk about his skin, his head, his eyes, specifically bolded is pupils with decreased response to light and accommodation bilaterally, pupils round. What does that mean?
So, like I said, that can happen with certain medications that people are prescribed or take. It can happen with injuries, brain injuries, and it can, your eyes respond to light in general. So if the room's super bright or dark, it can change that.
And the other portion that was bolded is under neuro, alert, altered, does not answer any questions, uncooperative. Why is that under the neuro section of that assessment?
Because altered mental status and assessing if someone's alert and oriented is part of a neurologic assessment. So that's where we would document that.
So based on what you were seeing and what you were observing in his pupils, did you order a CAT scan?
Yes.
Why did you order a CAT scan?
For, I guess, multiple reasons, but the girlfriend had said that he had fallen, and those seemed like they were unwitnessed falls, and he was altered. So to look for a head bleed, to make sure the vessels in the brain were patent, other things would be like a mass or something that's causing altered mental status.
And at some point, did you receive the results of the CAT scan that you ordered?
Yeah. And
what were the results of the CAT scan?
it was negative. There was no acute findings.
And at some point, did you also order a lumbar puncture to be done?
Yeah.
What is a lumbar puncture?
Sure. It's when you put a needle in the back to obtain cerebrospinal fluid to look for infection. You can also sometimes measure the pressure in the brain that can cause altered mental status if it's high. So that's why we were looking for other causes of the confusion.
And what were the results of the testing of the, what did you say, the cerebral fluid?
Yeah, so I attempted, and the doctor I was working with also attempted, and we were unable to get it. It was hard with him in particular because he was not a cooperative patient, and it can be dangerous, to put a needle in the spine if they're thrashing around. So we did attempt, but we didn't get it. I don't know if it was obtained at another hospital.
At some point after the blood was drawn, obviously we've talked about the results of the cocaine and the Percocets. Were other lab results coming in for your review, as well as were you ordering additional labs throughout the time that Mr. Fowler was at Anna Jake's?
Yes.
And were any of the lab results coming back abnormal?
Yeah. I don't remember if his potassium was initially abnormal, but some of his electrolytes are abnormal, including the potassium, I believe the calcium as well. And then he had other signs that was pointing towards a metabolic issue. So we added a venous blood gas to look for at other causes.
What does all of that mean? So all of those things are abnormal. What was abnormal about the potassium?
So his potassium was high, which we can see pretty frequently. It doesn't necessarily point towards one thing, but when his bicarbonate and he had an anion gap on his CMP, his comprehensive metabolic panel, which prompted us to look at his pH. And we determined that he was in a metabolic acidosis.
What is metabolic acidosis?
It's when you have your acid levels are high in the blood, and it can be caused by a lot of things. It happens when there's an imbalance in the blood.
And what kind of things cause an imbalance in the blood?
Sure. You can get it from infection, you can get it from dehydration, you can get it from certain medications. Severe diabetes can cause it if you're having very high glucose levels. Kidney disease, there's a lot of different causes for it.
I think you also mentioned anion gap.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So that's part of your blood. You have certain electrolytes, specifically what they look at, what that is, sodium chloride and bicarbonate, I believe, and it's just a measured portion, but difference between them, and it can help to identify different causes of a metabolic acidosis.
And I'm going to show you a portion again of Exhibit 6, this time what's page 6 of 12. And it talks about the anion gap being 27. Is that correct? You can see that?
Yep.
And then the calcium is highlighted or bolded, I guess. What did you observe about the calcium?
So the calcium was abnormal as well. I didn't look too much towards that in regards to his symptoms. But with the anion gap, and then when you look further down at the VBG with the pH, and those are the things that we were kind of looking at.
So VPG with the pH, what is that?
That's the part of the component of a metabolic acidosis where the acid level is low in the blood.
And is it fair to say that while you're waiting to see if you can get Mr. Fowler to another hospital, to an ICU, you're doing all these tests to try to figure out what's going on?
Yeah.
And are you able at any point while Mr. Fowler was at Anna Jakes to get a definitive diagnosis as to what was causing all of these symptoms that you testified to observing and the various blood work that was coming back?
No, we couldn't come up with a definitive diagnosis before he was transferred.
Does your hospital, or I guess did your hospital in November of 2022 test Mr. Fowler to see if ethylene glycol was present in any of the blood that was drawn during his stay there?
So I don't believe I don't think that was tested when he was there that day because he was transferred, but it was something that they tested from the blood at the hospital, I believe. I don't know if it was ordered when I saw him.
Would the ethylene glycol been able to be tested in the lab at Anna Jakes, or would it have been sent out?
Oh, yeah, it would have been sent out. It's not a test that we would have got back that day, probably not for several days.
So is it fair to say that there's some testing that the lab at Anna Jakes can't do there? It needs to be sent out to external labs for a specific type of testing?
Yep.
And is ethylene glycol one of those things?
Yes.
At some point did you have to give Mr. to calm him down?
Yes.
What did you give him?
I believe, I would have you pull up the chart, but I think we might have given him Ativan. We gave him common medications that we give to sedate patients.
And any medication that you gave to him at Anna Jakes would be contained within the medical records, is that correct? Additionally, at some point was a decision made that Mr. Fowler had to be intubated?
Yes.
And why did you make that decision?
With the doctor I was working with, yes.
And why was it your belief that Mr. Fowler had to be intubated?
So because we were having trouble transferring him, he was in the emergency room for a while at our facility. And with the progression of this metabolic acidosis, so we repeated labs and his pH had dropped more and he continued to be altered. And because of that, we did it to protect him and prevent anything from worsening.
As your pH is dropping, what is happening to your body during that time?
Sure. So your body is trying to compensate in multiple ways. One of the ways you can see this is with breathing. So he had kind of this irregular increased work of breathing that we can sometimes see when people have a very low pH. And it's the body's way to try and fix the acidity of the blood. But that indicates that it's more severe, which is why he was intubated.
And I guess I should ask you this. I'm sure we all have a common understanding, but what does it mean to be intubated?
Sure. It's when you are helping the patient breathe. So you put a tube down to protect their airway and to allow them to breathe properly.
At some point, was Mr. Fowler transferred from Anna Jakes to another hospital?
Yes.
Are you aware of which hospital he was transferred to?
Yep. He went to Mount Auburn.
Did you stay as the PA for Mr. Fowler during that entire time that you were in the emergency room as he was before being transferred to Mount Auburn?
Yes.
At any point, did the girlfriend that was with him ever show you any videos depicting to you what had happened to Mr. Fowler prior to him being taken to the emergency room?
No.
Did she indicate to you that she had videos if you wanted to see what was happening prior to his arrival there?
No.
Would that have been documented?
Yes.
If I may have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
This lady's amazing. Smart nurse.
Ultimately, during the time that Mr. Fowler was at
Physician's
Anna Jakes,
assistant.
did you ever come to a conclusion as to what was causing this?
No.
And is it fair to say during that time you were just trying to triage what you were observing before he could get to the ICU bed?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Norkunis.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Now, it's fair to say that this took place back on November 11th of 2022.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And for the record, you have to give me a positive or negative answer. And you've
She
had a
said
few
yes.
other patients since then till the present
She
time,
did.
right?
Yes.
And you saw this gentleman along with what you were seeing. It's a hospital, so you had more than one patient that night, right?
Correct.
And you were running between the patients, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And in terms of coming in here today, you have to go out and read a whole bunch of stuff or you wouldn't remember to think about this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you gave a statement to the police at some point in time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Back in February of 2023, right?
Yep.
And you had an opportunity to read that before you came in today, right?
Yes.
To try and refresh your memory, right?
Yep.
And did you, in fact, did the government present you with a copy of the medical records and ask you to review those as well?
Yes.
Now, one issue here was that it appeared that Mr. Fowler's condition was deteriorating while he was at your hospital, right?
Yep.
And he came into your hospital sometime around 9 a.m.
Yes.
And he left sometime around 8 p.m.
I believe so.
Somewhere around, so he was there like 12 hours, right? Approximately.
Yep.
And during those 12 hours, you know, reasonable as a medical professional that he was not improving, right?
Correct.
He was deteriorating, right?
Correct.
And at some point in time, the care that you, Andrew Jakes Hospital, could give to him was kind of stopped, right? You couldn't do anything more for him.
Correct, which is why we transferred him.
Right. And that was probably after he'd been there 3 hours, maybe?
What do you mean?
Well, he was there 3 hours, and then you're doing the blood work, you're doing the CAT scan. You were progressing him as rapidly as you could through the process of
Yep.
the hospital, correct?
Sure. Yep.
And that probably took 3 to 4 hours?
Probably around that. I mean, you can see what time CAT scans came back and lab work came back in the record, but yes.
Okay. And and the lady that came in, you indicated when you were talking to the police that she was very helpful, right?
She was willing to provide information. Yep.
Right. She was appeared to be also, you had indicated, comforting to the gentleman that was the patient, right?
Yep.
And she stayed with him the time he was there, right?
I don't remember if she was there the whole time, but she was there.
All right, again, it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
4 years ago, one person, one
Yeah.
room, one patient, right? And she appeared to be sympathetic to him, right?
Yes.
Now, you were asked, were you shown any videos of Mr. Fowler, correct, just a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
And if you saw the videos and the person was standing, falling, or crawling, and you saw no blood and you saw no marks, what type of medical significance could that possibly have to you?
People can have internal bleeding that can cause them to be altered without seeing blood, but I didn't see a video.
Right. You can't, unless there's an exterior mark, unless there's bleeding, unless there's something that takes place, it's irrelevant, right?
I mean, I don't know that it's irrelevant. I think it could have been helpful to see how he was progressing, but I didn't see that, so I can't comment on it.
Now, and you get a medical history from the lady that came in, right?
Yep.
Were you able to get his full medical history from his local doctor or that was online?
No.
And when they did the toxology tests, they showed cocaine was present, right?
Correct.
And it doesn't give you a duration or an amount, right? In other
Correct.
words. And did you, and in terms of either opiates or any of the other narcotics, that was the only one that was present, right? Cocaine.
For the urine toxicology screen that we got, the only thing that was positive was cocaine, yes.
Okay.
Alcohol was negative also, but that was a blood test.
Right. Now, did you think that the ingestion of cocaine was causing any of his problems?
No.
Why?
His heart rate was normal. Typically, you don't get that level of altered mental status with a cocaine overdose, but seeing it, you can always think, if I see anything positive on a toxicology test, it raises concern and makes us think about it.
He had a pacemaker, right?
Correct.
And what does cocaine do? It increases your heart rate, right? And at that point in time, was that adverse?
Well, his initial EKG, which I document in the chart, I don't think he was in a pace rhythm when he first came in, which sometimes people can have pacemakers that only go on with certain triggers. All I can say is his heart rate was normal when he got there.
Now, and you're not a toxicologist, right?
No.
Now, you said when you first observed this gentleman, you at that point in time don't know how long he had been there, correct?
In the emergency room?
Right.
Correct. I mean, in the chart it says I think that he got there just before 8 or just before 9. So, and I got to work right at 9. So I don't think he had been there that long.
Well, had there been a nurse attending to him prior to your arrival?
Yep.
Okay. And do you know that has she been with him like half an hour or something prior to your arrival?
I don't know. You would have to look in the chart.
Okay.
For timing.
But and that was Megan Berry?
Correct.
So she would have made the initial observations of him when he came into the hospital?
Yes.
And if there was any conversation with him, it would have taken place with her, potentially?
Potentially, yeah. It depends on who triage is and who else is in the room. Sometimes there's more people.
And again, you did the CAT scan because the girlfriend, and she identified herself as that, right?
Correct.
And she had told you that he had fallen and banged his head, and that's why you did the CAT scan, right?
I don't remember if she told me he banged his head, but she said he had fallen and he came in altered. And she had also mentioned he had abdominal pain, so we ended up getting imaging of his chest, abdomen, pelvis to look for other injuries or causes.
He had fallen several times, she told you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did an initial assessment of his head. There was no bleeding, there was no swelling, there was no bruising, right?
Correct.
So therefore, and that context, it did not appear to be have been a head injury, right?
So I've seen head injuries without external signs of trauma, but there was no obvious bruising or signs of trauma when he came in.
Well, it's the old bit, anything in life is possible, right? But generally, from your observations, it did not appear to have been a head injury.
Sure.
And you never had a definitive
three-peat
diagnosis.
right there.
I think the term was you did not have a specific diagnosis by the time he left 12 hours later.
Correct.
May I have a moment, Judge?
Yes, you may.
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Ms. Strasnick.
Just very briefly, if I could approach with Exhibit 6, since
You may.
it was not very clear. You had indicated that, I'm going to show you the medical records. You had indicated in the records there is a list of the times in which Mr. Fowler was interacted with throughout the course of his stay there. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And is that essentially called the event history?
Yes.
Does it indicate what time he was received from the hospital, by the hospital, or came in, I guess?
Yes.
And what time was that?
8:54 a.m.
Does it document what time he was put into a room within the emergency room once he was received?
Yes.
And what time was that?
8:56.
And at some point thereafter, was he registered?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The people in registration get his information. In his case, I'm assuming they got his driver's license because he wasn't answering questions, but to get them registered in the computer.
And what time was that?
8:59.
So from the time he was received, he was registered within 5 minutes. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And then what happened next?
He was triaged, which is
Perfect. Yep, you read my mind. Go ahead.
typically by one of the nurses in the emergency room, and that's to get information, do the initial vitals, the initial assessment of the patient.
And what time was that initial triage?
9:01.
And is that when blood would have been initially drawn as well by the triaging
Typically,
nurse?
yes, but not always.
And then it says, the next says seen by provider at 9.
Correct.
And would that have been you?
Yes.
So he is
Ghosts.
received by the hospital at 8:54. All of those things we just discussed happen. And by 9:11, you're seeing him and making the observations that we just discussed.
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Narkunis, anything further?
I don't have any further questions, Judge.
Ms. Scheiger, thank you very much. You may step down.
Thank you.
Grab that for me.
Trying to get to 280 by lunchtime.
William Eaton.
Might get it before the next witness. Everyone's fighting the urge to cough. You're in these. We saw that one too. Defense caught it. He says he's not sick. He says he doesn't have a cold. He just has something in his throat. I think he's lying or in denial.
Okay. All right. Apparently he stepped out for a second. So Trooper Dave Strong, or excuse me, Sergeant Dave Strong.
Lost a witness. We're going to skip him for now.
I'm going to ask you to stand behind this blue line, please.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, sir. In a nice loud voice, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name for the record, please?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is David Strong, Strong. I'm a sergeant with the Mass State Police.
And how long have you been employed by the Massachusetts State Police, sir?
14 years.
All right. And what is your current assignment?
I'm currently assigned to the State Police Detective Unit.
And in Essex County?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been a member of the State Police Detective Unit, sir?
I began in 2018.
Okay. So 8 years or so?
Yes.
Okay. And as a sergeant with the detective unit, sir, what are your duties and responsibilities?
We investigate deaths in Essex County, homicides, unattended deaths, suspicious deaths, and we also do drug offenses and narcotics.
Okay. And so for the last 8 years, you have been you've been both the investigator and supervisor on these types of cases and investigations. Is that fair?
Yes, I was promoted in January of 2025 to sergeant.
By do drug offenses, he means investigates them.
And so I want to take you back, sir, to November 14th of 2022. Were you working on that day?
Yes.
Okay. And prior to November 14th, 2022, had you been at all involved in an investigation into a death involving an individual named Leroy Fowler?
I had not.
Okay. And on that day, the 14th, did one of the, so you were still a trooper at that point in time, fair?
Yes.
Okay. And one of your supervisors, request, but really order, you to participate in something that was going to be going on in that particular investigation.
Yes.
Okay. And what was that that you were asked to participate in?
It was a search warrant.
Okay. And that was a search warrant that was going to be executed at 108 Central Ave in Salisbury. Is that correct?
Ghosts again.
Now, did you and a couple of other state troopers go to that location in order to conduct the search?
That one. We did.
Okay. And the appearance of 108 Central Ave was documented with some photographs during the course of the execution of the search warrant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you had a chance to look at a number of those photographs yesterday, fair to say?
I did.
Okay. Now, when you first entered the unit at 108 Central Ave, what were your first observations as you entered?
We entered through the back door, back of the house. It was dirty. It was cluttered. There was like a back porch area, which I believe a couch or maybe a futon. As we entered the residence, it was a kitchen, a bedroom, and a bathroom.
All right. Just the kitchen. What did the kitchen look like?
It was dirty. It was cluttered. Miscellaneous items scattered throughout the house.
Okay. Same with the bedroom and the bathroom.
Yes.
Where did you start your search, sir?
The kitchen.
Okay. And as you were searching the kitchen, sir, did you notice anything? Did anything catch your attention in particular at that point in time?
Yes. Several empty bottles. I located a bottle of de-icer behind the kitchen island. It was orange.
All right. So I should have been paying a little bit more attention. I was looking for something that we got a little confused with our witness order here. So you mentioned that you found a Powerade bottle?
No, I found a bottle of de-icer.
De-icer, I'm sorry.
Thanks for listening.
And where did you see this de-icer at first, when you first saw
Behind
it?
the island.
It was in the kitchen. In the kitchen, there was an island, and this was behind the island.
Okay.
De-icer has antifreeze in it.
So I'm going to hand you two photographs. May I approach this?
Yes, you may.
Hand you two photographs and just ask you to take a quick look at those and let me know if you recognize those two, what's depicted in those two photographs.
Yes, that's going to be the de-icer I located behind the kitchen, in the kitchen.
One of those is sort of a wider angle and one's a close-up of the bottle?
Yes, sir. It's, behind the island.
Your Honor, I offer these as the next two exhibits.
Mr. Scully?
No objection, Your Honor.
They may come in as our next two exhibits.
Exhibit 14 and 15, so much.
The close-up is 14 and the wider angle is 15.
Bikes don't need de-icer. At least not bicycles.
All right. And now calling your attention to the monitor, which just cut out. This item right here, the clear bottle with the orange liquid in it, that is the de-icer that you were referring to?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you continue to look around the kitchen at that point, sir?
Yes.
All right. What did you see next that was relevant to you, sir?
Underneath the kitchen island was an open space for a recycling bin.
Okay. And did you take a look in? Did you take a look? You know what was contained inside the recycling bin?
I did.
All right. Hand you the next photograph, sir, and ask you if you recognize that what's depicted in that photo.
I do. That's the recycling bin underneath the island in the kitchen.
And was there something particular in the recycling bin that sort of drew your attention as you looked into it?
Yeah, I noticed a fruit punch Powerade bottle, which should have been red, and I noted the bottom of the bottle was an orange liquid.
Your Honor, after this is the next exhibit.
Mr. Scully?
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Exhibit 16, so much.
There's been no evidence that would support that sort of thing. But it's got to be a possibility.
It's tough to see here, but if you look sort of behind what looks like a Mike's Harder Mango, you can see the clear plastic Powerade bottle that you were referring to. Is that right, sir? Right kind of where I have my finger pointing?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Apparently the monitor turns on for 5-second bursts.
And did you take the bottle out of the recycling bin at that point to get a slightly closer view of it?
I did.
And handing you another photograph, sir. Do you recognize that to be a picture of that Powerade bottle that you get now placed on the countertop?
Yes.
I'd offer this as the next exhibit, Judge.
Any objection? Very good. Exhibit 17.
Exhibit 17, so much.
And publish. Oh, wow.
And that's the Powerade.
No, that's
bottle?
just straight de-icer. Does Powerade make an orange flavor?
Did you find anything else in the kitchen, sir?
I located a blender.
Okay.
In the kitchen.
And there wasn't a picture of the blender, but where did you locate that?
I was in the cabinet. I believe it was above the sink.
Okay. So above the kitchen sink.
Yeah, in one of the cabinets.
Okay. Now, did you also go into the bedroom of Miss Church?
Yes.
And inside of the bedroom, sir, did you locate anything inside of the bedroom?
We located 2 notebooks.
All right.
Okay, now we're piquing my curiosity. What pins it on Judy?
Just with the court's permission, hand you a couple of pairs of gloves. I'm going to try to put them on. I have a broken finger here, which makes it a little difficult. But
Bingo. Putting on rubber gloves with a broken finger. Walk the cat letter. Here we go, Laura. This one's for you. Ivan, I was going to call you directly, 3 a.m. in the morning. Wish you a happy birthday if that's cool. That was my plan.
Hand you 2 items, sir. Ask you to just take a quick look at those and flip through for a second if you need to. You recognize those 2 items?
I do.
All right. What do you recognize those 2 items to be?
These are the 2 notebooks I located in Judy Church's bedroom.
All right. Your Honor, I'd offer these as the next 2 exhibits.
Mr. Scully?
No objection.
Excuse me? We're marking them separately. Yeah. Thank you.
Exhibit 18 and Exhibit 19 so marked.
And both notebooks contain a number of sort of handwritten notes, stories, lists, fair to say?
Yes.
It's which one's the red spiral? Just so I know.
Red, Your Honor, is 19 and purple is 18.
Thank you.
Sir, handing you an item, asking if you recognize that.
I do.
Okay, what do you recognize that to be?
This would be the fruit punch Powerade that I located in the recycling bin.
Okay, and is it different today as you look at it from when it was when you found it?
Yes.
Okay, what's different about it?
There's no liquid in it.
All right, and you understand that that liquid was taken out during the course of the investigation and tested by various people?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor,
That's true.
the next exhibit.
Any objection, Mr. Scully?
No objection. Thank you, Your Honor.
Exhibit 20.
Don't mix it up with the other bottle. Everyone's grabbing it with with gloves except for the clerk, who's just like, "Give it to me. I'm gonna put a tag on it." How good is your knot? Let's see. Is it a granny?
You should see Miss Draper's high flies.
Yeah. Seriously. That's a nice.
There you go.
Good job.
This is just showing the jury now with the court's permission. What's now been marked as Exhibit 20, the Powerade bottle that you found in the recycling bin.
Breezy, member for 35 months. OG. Thank you very much. Yeah, we want the notebooks. Bring us the notebooks. Flip the pages. Let us read.
Handing you a bag, sir, that contains sort of 2 items that are separated. Do you recognize what's contained in that bag?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
Would be the top of a blender.
Okay. That was the item that you located in the cabinet above the sink?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Offer this as the next exhibit.
Mr. Scully?
No objection.
Exhibit 21.
They were taking it out. Tag this one, ma'am, even though it came in a bag.
Can we keep it in the bag, please? Thank you.
Because yeah, it's got sharp edges. The bag already had it labeled and everything.
Exhibit 21 so marked.
And I'm just going to take it out for a second. Sir, is the item in the same condition now as it was when you found it?
I believe so.
Okay. And same with the, so that...
Is it a Ninja blender?
I don't know what you'd call this, the base of the blender?
Yes, it appears to be the same.
So when you found it, it was in this same, it was dry, it was it separated or together?
I don't recall, but it was dry.
And then just going to hold this item up for you, sir. Do you recognize this item?
I do.
And what do you recognize this to be?
The orange de-icer I located in the kitchen.
Your Honor, after this is the next exhibit.
Mr. Scully?
No objection.
22.
Apparently lunch is ready, guys.
Exhibit 22 so marked.
There are 2 bottles up there, both fruit punch. One has a label on it, one does not. They both might get thrown away. Any more evidence? What's in your bag, prosecutor? Either they passed out cough drops or everyone's just holding it for the next break.
I didn't have you mention it earlier, but did you find a fifth item, a cell phone?
Yes, a black iPhone.
And that was just hand you.
Yes.
This is the same phone that you located that day?
Yes.
All right. Next exhibit, Your Honor.
Mr. Scully?
No objection.
Could we also keep that in the bag, Mr.?
Exhibit 23.
Thank you.
Can you stop taking all the evidence out of the... There's a cough. And another. Out of protective wrappers. What else you got? What's weird is this, he's not laying a ton of foundation for what he found. He's like, did you find this? Yeah. Did you find that?
Was
Yeah.
there a second trash can / recycling bin that you also went through during the course of your search of the residence?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And this picture here that I'm handing you, is that a photograph of that second recycling bin / trash can?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, right after this is the next exhibit.
No objection.
Exhibit 24.
In understanding that you kind of poked through this just to look for additional evidence, this is substantially in the same shape as it was when you first looked at it and went through it?
Yes.
All right. And so just, again, a number of cans, Fanta, the same Mike's Harder Mango, and some other bottles. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
There's
All
Mike's Hard Lemonade and Mike's Harder Mango. They were the mango variety. Antifreeze was... Well, antifreeze can come in a bunch of different colors, like
In
almost a
addition
neon
to the
green.
Powerade bottle that we've now marked as Exhibit 20, did you also find some additional Powerade bottles in and around the residence during the course of your search?
We did.
Okay. And those bottles appear to have the fruit punch color liquid in them as opposed to the orange that was present in the Exhibit 20?
Yes.
You're comparing apples and orangutans here.
And sir, finally, I'm going to hand you four photographs. Just ask you to look through those real quick. Just ask you when you're done if you recognize what's depicted in those 4 photographs, just generally.
I do. It'd be the bedroom when you walk into the home, a bedroom off the bathroom, the kitchen, and the living room area.
Okay. And do those 4 photos sort of accurately depict how those 4 rooms looked from the angles that those photographs were taken when you were conducting the search on November 14, 2022?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, after these is the next 4.
No objection?
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Exhibit 25 through 28, so marked.
And 28, that's that back bedroom that you referred to as you sort of walked into the apartment?
Yes.
Just leave that up for a second. 27. That's the bedroom that you referred to that is closer to the bathroom.
Yes. Someone keeps jiggling the cable. Looks like they're Mac fans. See an iMac there?
26 is the kitchen.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Apparently they're fan fans,
and in
too.
the sort of bottom right-hand corner-ish, you can see the recycling bin where I have my finger. That is the recycling bin where you found the Powerade bottle.
Yes, it is.
And the Rain-X would be on the other side of that counter to the right.
Yes.
And then that's just one more angle of the bed. Is that the bedroom?
I believe that's going to be the room off of the kitchen.
Off of the kitchen. Okay. Thank you.
The defendant was preparing to move, so a lot of the house was in commotion. It may have looked similar to that before then as well, but
Nothing further with this witness, Your Honor.
All right, then we will take the lunch
break.
recess from 1 to 2. So jurors will reconvene at about 2:02. Give everybody to pull out.
All right.
2:02.
Just be getting no book in here.
Just catch the last few coughs for everybody. One more cough, just for the record. Anybody?
Recharge these.
Oh, yeah. That's for you. Well, I'll take one back, yeah. And one for the court, Your Honor.
Yeah, I think one copy, right? You can make two?
I'll go make two.
Okay.
'Cause I'll have
Be
them
recess for an hour.
printed. Thank you, Judge. If you don't mind.
All right. And we're done. We're in recess for an hour. Recap our printer cam, please. I was just going to tell you that Mrs. R.A. just came in, opened up the studio door, and said, I need a hamburger. And she had that tone in her voice where I know that she wants a Burger King hamburger. So my lunch is already booked up. I don't have time to do a recap, unfortunately. What we have here, I'll do a little one. Judy, who's the defendant, is accused of killing her live-in boyfriend, long-term live-in boyfriend, by poisoning him with antifreeze in his sports drink, his Powerade. We're starting to see the evidence now that indicates that might have been what took place, and the reason is why. What does she stand to gain from this? What's the benefit? What's the motive? Well, her boyfriend had a girlfriend that wasn't her. Well, she was the girlfriend, but he had another girlfriend, and possibly another. The way the son describes it, he was two-timing was on the slow day. But she was not a big fan of this, particularly this one lady. She had a very nasty name to call her, and she even had a voodoo doll of this lady. But what we know is that, according to what she told the hospital, about 3:30 one morning, Mike wakes her up and says, I think it's Mike, right? And says, I've been falling down. I can't stand up. Something's wrong. And she's like, whatever. Well, here's a pillow and a blanket. Lay down. And then about 6:30 that morning, he's still in a bad way. He's in an altered state now, not able to speak much. About 7 o'clock, she starts filming him for about half an hour. And about 7:30, she calls 911 and takes him to the hospital. He's going to end up dying. Oh, Mike's Hard Lemonade. Sorry, it's Leroy. Sorry, Mike's where I got it from the lemonade. That's what it was. But takes me to the hospital. Doesn't call the family for like 11 hours. And eventually he gets intubated and passes away. So this is a murder trial. And the family doesn't like her very much. and seems to think that the poisoning is what did it. But it took a while for the doctors to do anything. So there's a spoiler alert for you. That's the recap. That's a little bit. We're picking up where we leave off when we come back. There's a beautiful lighting on this. Although the logo itself, the seal is sort of lame, if I say so myself. Cough counter is up to 287. It's probably going to go higher, but we're going to go to lunch, so I can run to Burger King and get a burger, because if Mrs. Ari isn't happy, ain't nobody happy. Just kidding. I'm going to try to portal. Yes, let me build a portal as well. Let's see, we are on. That's really loud. Wow. Give me a second. We're building a portal. We'll have this all ready for you with the new logo as well. Here's the settings. It's going to be day 2, part 2. Change the logo. Our new thumbnail has a couple things on it that you might find important for this trial. I might add to it as things go on. But we'll be back at 2 o'clock, right on the dot, because they're started at 2:02. There we go. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone. Make their day just a little bit better. Please stay safe. We go live again at 2 o'clock, 2 minutes before they come back from their break. And I'm going to head to Burger King. Y'all, if you want something, let me know now, because we're headed out. All right. I think I'm gonna chance it on the drive-thru too. I will say, last time I went to this Burger King, we pulled up to make our order, and Mrs. Ari wants the Maple Bourbon Barbecue Whopper. Ooh, sounds good. No. Last time we went to this Burger King, we pulled up and we tried to place our order, and they said, "I'm sorry, we don't have any meat. We don't have any burger meat." I'm like, isn't that the beef? Yeah. Where's the beef? No, that's the pickle. All right, guys, have a good lunch. We'll see you afterwards. Bye-bye. Thank you, JoJo. Portal incoming. I'm still building it. Sorry. Hang on one second. Wait for it. Wait.